from there, we also moved on to abstract presentations, whereby we had 2 or 3 rooms for presentation. Came back to the 7th presenter, Ms. Miri Joki from Stawi Global. Her topic was on cybersecurity at cyberspace mental wellness. She talked about impact on mental health and science of work overwhelm, and finally she took us through on how to manage work overwhelm when all is said and done. We went to the next presenter. Okay, she closed by talking about in the midst of chaos, there is always a room for opportunity. We went to the next presenter, Emmanuel Dongo, lead software engineer with Safaricom. His topic was on cloud security best practices for tomorrow's workloads. And he talked about cloud computing, talked about the types of clouds, private, community, public, hybrid, and so on and so forth. He also talked about the risk or the threats in cloud, cyber cloud, and then he also took us through the best practices in cloud computing or in cyber cloud. We concluded the day, we took a cup of tea, and we left at our own pleasure. God bless you. Let's have a nice day as you appreciate me for what I've done. Dr. Joab.
Yeah, we can appreciate him once again for what he has done. Wow, it seems and it's evident that you are awake during that presentation, and we really appreciate it. I know some of us, especially those that were not there, have significantly benefited from that presentation. I don't know whether this has been said in the course of this conference, but I was perturbed at one point. Early in February, there are 2 reporters of CNN, and they reported about what we are calling a deep fake technology. And there is this finance guy who approved $25 million to be paid. And he approved it on the basis of a discussion that he had with the chief finance officer of that company. And this was done online. They had a video conference, they had an online meeting. And this is real in Hong Kong, because it's a case that is now continuing. And he saw familiar faces in the meeting, and he saw his senior in the meeting. And so his senior approved. And so he paid. Only for him to see the senior again asking, why have you paid this money? And the guy was wondering, I thought you are the one who approved that I pay out this money. It was then that he discovered that what he was dealing with was not the boss, but an image of the boss under the deep fake technology. And so when I saw that, as much as I had thought that these issues are about our Department of Science and our School of Science and Engineering, I know for us we talk about issues of plagiarism and all that, but I thought there is much more than that. Hence, my sincere interest, even as we have already observed. And so this conference is critical for all of us, and to make some remarks around it, and later invite the next speaker is a very important person to me. She was just reminding me that she's one of the panelists that recruited me when I first came to Daystar in 2005. And so I really, really appreciate her, and I celebrate her. And I want to ask you, I remember when Bessia was introducing her yesterday, she was able to enlist so many of the accolades, some which I didn't know that she has received so far. And this is just the beginning. There are many, many others that she's going to receive. And so, without much ado, I want to request us to put our hands together as we invite the Dean, School of Science and Engineering, Professor Martha Kiarie Makara, or Makara Kiarie. Let's appreciate her once again. I always encourage us to appreciate her until she gets to the podium here. Please. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I'll be here for just under a minute, just to remind us that this is our third day of the conference. We want to thank God that this far has been very interesting, and also to say I stand here very confident that I will not be replaced by AI, because I'm already preparing myself to be AI empowered. So the fear that has been in the system, that there will be no need for teachers, people will be taught by AI. We've already we learned yesterday that we want, or what we need to do is use the technology to enhance our learners' experience, something that we have been doing in Daystar all through. So I want to thank you for keeping on, even as we start the final day. Just to call us on us that today we are going to have a very, very exciting day. Today we get to hear from even some of our alumni. For example, we'll be listening from Dr. Bright Gameri, who is an alumnus of the Computer Science Department at Daystar, and a well-renowned IT guru, so we'll be hearing from him at some point during the day. Today we also get to award those that went through the hackathon and they came up at the top, and I hope they have been invited as they prepare to come over and receive their award. Today we will also be appreciating those in our midst who've been very active, especially when questions are called upon, reactions are called upon. It's always good when you go to a conference to be active. You never know. Those people who come for networking may pick on you. There are people who probably here looking for young talents, and they are looking at these faces, and I would rather have that with me. So if you are not reacting to the presentations, asking questions, answering questions, getting interested, that is where the talent hunters get to know that is a person I would want to be in my team. The other thing I want us to know is at 10 a.m. this morning, we'll be listening from our founder dean, the dean, one of the former or immediate former dean, School of Science, Engineering and Health, Ambassador Professor Peter Ngure, who is now the ambassador of Kenya to UNESCO. So he'll be speaking to us from Europe. So we want to continue hearing these people. Yesterday, we heard from, again, one of us, Professor George Kimathi, a very provoking, mind-changing presentation that had us. Actually, I didn't know he had finished by the time he finished. Very encouraging. So I want to call us to stay on. We will also be, again, listening from the market. So not just the academia, we have a lot of market or practitioners lined up, and eventually we'll have our closing ceremony where we will have the awards. So very soon we are going to line up the trophies here at the front, because students came, they participated in the hackathon, they put on their best foot forward, and they won. So we need to award them, even as finally we agree what is the way forward. This is GCC Conference 2024. Do we want to have 2025, where now you'll be more informed, better armed after going through these 3 days? So I want to welcome each one of us, those appearing or attending in person, and those attending online. We're so happy because the presentations are available on YouTube. They are available on Daystar handles, and people have been talking to me as to what they have heard and what they have seen on the social media. And again, it's been nice journeying these 3 days with you, so let's close the conference together. So it is my honors now to welcome a gentleman by the name Stephen Kariuki. Stephen Kariuki will be talking about the network protocol analysis. Yesterday we heard from IBM, we heard from Safaricom, and those are market those are people operating right within the market, within the industry. So let's put our hands together and welcome Mr. Stephen Kariuki. So Mr. Stephen Kariuki will tell us what he does, who he is, and why network protocol analysis. Thank you so much. Karibu sana.
So thank you very much, Dean. My name is Steve Kariuki. I am a key account manager and also a network protocol analyst working with a company in Europe. And this company, it's called ProfitUp HQ BV, and it is based in Netherlands. Network traffic analysis is a very major critical skill in today's cybersecurity management. And for that reason, it is as important for us to actually understand what it is. Some time back, just want to give this brief story. I was given a task by one of the circles to do an audit. And when I went to do the audit, I wanted to understand, does this core banking system encrypt traffic? And if it does, what encryption protocols does it use? So I requested the core banking system vendor to provide me with a code so that I can actually go through the same. Unfortunately, he could not. He cited intellectual property, which, by the way, that particular code is his own IP, intellectual property, and therefore I could not actually access the code. And here, the managers or the board of directors of this particular circle wanted to ensure that the system is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing in as far as security is concerned. So I was at a loss. I tried to figure out, how do I get access to knowing that this application is actually doing that? And I went to Google, asked Google how I can do this, and so on and so forth, until I came across the issue of network traffic analysis. Only for me to realize that there is far much more than you can actually understand when it comes to network traffic analysis. You realize that on this particular platform, I have two titles: Key Account Manager, Network Protocol Analyst. In this particular organization of ours, anybody who is in that organization, whether you are in accounts, whether you are in HR, whether you are in sales, the CEO himself, the board of directors, all of them, minimum qualifications, it's actually being a network protocol analyst. Why? Because the rest of the world is actually using network traffic to actually perform most of their functionalities, especially when it comes to troubleshooting, incident response, as we shall actually see later on. And that is why I decided today I have to be here, and I want to make sure that I put a message across to everybody, that whether you are in incident response, whether you are a cybersecurity a specialist, whether you are in a SOC department, whether you are in governance, there is no way that you'll be able to actually perform cyber threat analysis. You will not be able to mitigate cyber threats if you actually don't understand how the internet works. A few months ago, I was privileged to be called by one of the universities around, and they wanted to actually do a change on their program, BSc Forensics. And what they asked me is, what can we add here? I told them, you need to have TCP/IP1 and you need to have TCP/IP2 introduced on all BSc programs, computer science, IT, whatever it is. So long as you are taking an IT-related unit, you need to have TCP/IP1, TCP/IP2. And then somebody was asking, how? We tend to have TCP/IP, we learn TCP/IP on network design and management. Sure. But at the end of the day, you need to understand that we have 65,000 different types of protocols running different services, from HTTP to SMB to things like Modbus, 65,000 of them. So there is no way that we'll just wake up one day, learn HTTP, learn SSH, and say we are okay. There is a lot that we actually can do with that. So without much ado, I just want to introduce what we actually do. When it comes to network traffic analysis, why do we need to capture and analyze network traffic? Right now, the government has come up with a certain law they are calling the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. And I'm sure either somebody has spoken about the same or it will actually be spoken about. And what they are saying is that every organization that has an application, that has a database, that has a software running in them, they must monitor their traffic. How do you monitor your traffic? Somebody in class will simply tell you, or somebody in a conference will simply tell you, you need to differentiate between your normal traffic and your abnormal traffic. How do you identify your abnormal traffic if you actually don't know how your normal looks like? So at ProfitUp, what we have done, we have developed devices. Those devices are referred to as taps. I don't know whether maybe I have a picture of that device, maybe even before we continue. We have developed these types of devices, and this is one among many. And what these devices do, by the way, they are referred to as test access points, taps. I want you to visualize where your router is. From your router, you go to your firewall for screening. From your firewall, you go to your distribution switch. From your distribution switch, you go to your users or to your clients. So you can actually have that device placed in between your router and your firewall. Then every traffic that is coming in or going out will simply be screened, and then we'll actually have some sort of analysis on that particular traffic. Like for instance, we can actually connect this device on Monday all the way to maybe Friday. We look at how much traffic do we have coming in on Mondays during these times, on Tuesdays during these times. Where do clients visit? How much bandwidth is actually used by every application, by every user in that particular network? Which protocols do they use? When we understand that, then you have a rough idea of what your normal looks like. So the moment you see a spike of data, either coming in or going out, you know we have problems. One of the problems that you have actually been having is actually ransomware. And ransomware simply means that data is being exfiltrated out. How do you know it's being exfiltrated out? More than normal, the traffic that is going out, that says something is abnormal. So if any time that you have a spike in traffic going out, you need to go and check on that. How do you check that if at all you don't have a test access point? If at all you don't have a tap, you can't. So the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime states that we need to go and monitor. We actually need to go and monitor. And for real, that's the only way that you can actually do it. Every organization today wants their packets so that they can actually do network monitoring and baselining. Baselining is that particular process of trying to understand, this is how my traffic looks like. This is the match that I receive. This is the match that I can actually give out, and so forth. We want to understand what protocol versions are being used there. For instance, TLS. And you just have to allow me to talk about this because I want to make this, I want to create some sort of awareness on why you need to actually understand network traffic analysis and why you need to learn it. Whether you are a software developer, cybersecurity, specialist, whatever you are. So in TLS, that one dictates the highest levels or the versions of transport layer securities that we have. And we only have 3. TLS 1.1, TLS 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. Right now, Microsoft has already decapitated the continuous use of TLS 1.0, 1.1. But organizations continue using the same. How can we not be affected? How can we not be attacked if at all we continue using old protocols that are supposed to be securing our traffic? Last week, that issue of NTLM again, Microsoft said, we cannot continue supporting this NTLM thing. It's called Network LAN Manager. It's a protocol that came up around 1993. We're in 2024. Things have changed. You cannot continue using the same. I cannot tell you how many, and it is unfortunate that I have to say this, circles are using NTLM. Very many of them. I've audited at least close to 10 of them. But when you create this issue of we need to change something, there is always a problem. HTTP, by the way, let me tell you this. When you're doing network traffic analysis for web-based systems, it's just like going to Google and asking Google, where is Daystar University? They'll still tell you where Daystar University is. Personally, I have sat down. I have analyzed each and every bank system here in Kenya. And I can tell you only 90% use the correct version of HTTP. HTTP is a transport protocol. It doesn't care about your traffic, whether you have encrypted it or not. The application must encrypt. If it doesn't, you'll be able to see that. From where I sit, I am privileged to actually work with network engineers around the world, with incident responders around the world. And most of them, the moment they actually find that there is some sort of HTTP version 1, they all simply disable it because it transmits your traffic in plain text. HTTP 2, there are some versions there, much better. 3, far much better. Even in terms of performance, how quick do I get traffic from the other side coming back? HTTP versions will actually dictate that. When you go to things like Modbus is a protocol that is actually used in transferring of traffic between power grids, energy systems, nuclear power plants, and so on and so forth. I feel bad the moment that one day Kenya Power goes off, and then we talk of a system disturbance. Yet we can actually monitor. We can actually tell on time where the problem is. We can be in a position to solve these particular problems. So getting access to your traffic helps you understand the protocols that you are using. That one helps you to understand the security posture of your systems. 2, source of network detection and response systems, extended detection response systems. These NDRs are supposed to receive traffic, use AI, do analysis, give us reports. From those reports, we can actually tell there is a threat. And remember, I think almost every other speaker who have stood here has said that AI is based on historical data. So when we have 0-day attacks, AI doesn't care about that. When we have 0-day attacks, AI can't understand what is that. So there has to be a human element to stop 0-day attacks. So network detection and response systems, we feed them with packets. When we feed them with that network traffic that we call packets, then they use AI to do the analysis of that particular traffic. From that particular point, they can actually give us an understanding of what is actually happening. This week, I think on Tuesday, I was talking to a company in the US called Accenture PLC. And I think all you guys, you know it. And Accenture, they were actually requesting for a device that can actually get all the packets from their branches, feed them into an NDR for analysis. But they also want to make a copy of that particular traffic so that they can actually have different departments working to identify different types of threats. And for sure, we're able to provide that because we also provide some other devices that we call network packet brokers and so on. So network traffic is important. You need to capture it. You need to send it to your NDR. You need to actually use that particular NDR to do the analysis for you. That function or importance of actually having this network traffic is the source of information to verify compliance with the law. I ask myself, when we had the issue, for instance, of, was it called WorldCoin? The AI thing. Where was the government before that? Are you telling me that the state departments that we have did not go through that particular system before to verify whether our data is going on cloud, whether it is encrypted, whether it is appropriately secured. Even if they do that, and when they go on ground, for instance, they come here on Daystar, and they ask Daystar, do you have a cybersecurity operations center? Because it is there in the law. And then Daystar says, we have one. How do they verify that the firewall has actually been configured correctly? That that particular server has actually been configured correctly? You will not be able to actually do compliance, enforcement of the law, if you don't have network traffic. It's as simple as that. If you go to France, they have the cybersecurity, or the French Cybersecurity Center. It's called ANSI. Before ANSI gives you a certificate that you can now continue accessing personal data, they request for a copy of your packets. They go through that, and then they can actually tell you, now you can go ahead. So enforcement of law, compliance of that particular law, for us to be in a position to do that, we have to have those packets. We keep on talking about zero trust. The government cannot trust me. They have to come to my network and look at it and check whether I am actually saying what I have actually done. Cloud security compliance verification. Again, I've heard about this talk that we cannot verify where our data is when it is on cloud. Yes, we can. Not only can we tell where it is, but we can actually tell physical location of those particular servers. We can actually tell whether there is even a proxy server before our primary servers. So it is extremely possible. We need to get access to our traffic. We need to examine that particular traffic, and it is possible. Other nations are doing it. Other nations are doing it. We need to actually get there. And by the way, remember, packets, the way they are formed on networks, is not a preserve of anybody. So you can wake up one day, get those particular packets, and develop an application. Suggestions have actually been brought forth that we need to have African cybersecurity solutions. Packets can give you an avenue to do that. Today, if at all you have a private cloud, you need to install something that we call a VTAP. It's a physical tap, but now in this case, virtually. Install it on that particular private cloud. Extract your packets, examine your packets, and tell the state of your networks. Performance analysis and troubleshooting. A few months again, I'm with this client whom they had an incident, and they had a ransomware incident. And they were actually trying to bring back the servers. They had done their backups. After they did that, they realized that some of the users could not actually get access to the primary servers for service. And in this case, by the way, it was a hospital in Germany. And what they had requested was a tap, so that, or they were simply requesting a tap so that they can actually capture that particular traffic and analyze and see where the problem is. And this guy was simply telling me that, you know, we've tried, we think it is our firewall because it is blocking maybe some services. There were some new patches that were done. There were some new upgrades that were done, so on and so forth. We have called the firewall guy. He says, no, it's not us. We have already done our bit. You look at where you have the issues. So we provided the tap. They connected the tap, only to realize that the firewall was okay, well configured. But the problem was on the GPO, the group policies on that particular server. They were actually blocking a certain segment of the network, and that is how they were unable to get access to the same. So when you have packets, you'll actually be able to do some sort of troubleshooting, do some sort of performance analysis. Stop this blame game of it is the network engineer, or it is the application developer, or maybe it is the database developer, and so on and so forth. But you'll be in a position to actually perform that. As I conclude, because I think we don't have time, and it is unfortunate because network traffic analysis, even for those people who have actually learned about the TCP handshake, we can actually take, I was telling my friend here, we can take 4 or 5 hours just to talk about that. But just wanted to highlight why it is important for us to actually have this. So I want to actually encourage especially those people who actually want to get into cybersecurity, but from a network's perspective. Network traffic analysis gives you a competitive edge because you'll be able to see how the application is performing, how the firewall is performing, how the database is performing, whether it is the database or the application, and so on and so forth. So you'll actually be an all-rounded person. Unfortunately, and this, by the way, I really feel for my African continent. When I sit in my office and I talk to the rest of the world, rarely do I talk to an African. In fact, apart from South Africa, where we basically sell these devices, I have not had the chance to actually talk to Africans for the last 2 years. So that tells me what? That at the end of the day, there is low awareness on what packets can do to you. There is low awareness on the power behind access to your network traffic, on how we access those particular packets. And so that you can be in a position to understand how we need to actually get these particular packets, you just need to look at this particular small journey. All what we need to do is to go to our server rooms, look at our topologies, check how can we get access to our traffic. If at all we are only, let's say if at all maybe you only have 2 branches somewhere, we can direct that particular traffic here using something like SD1. That is something that I think we are learning. Then from there we can simply say, we want to do what you call traffic aggregation and intelligence. This is the traffic that you want. We want to have traffic from port 443, from port 22, from port 53, this application, this branch. We only need to monitor that. Then we can actually have our gadgets connected, like the ones that I have shown here, and we can actually do analysis. We will be more proactive than waiting until such a time when we have an attack. Then from that particular point, that is where you say, let us be reactive. Sure, laws are important. They are sisters. They are there. We will register as a data controller or a data processor. But what happens when the incident comes? What will happen even if I have registered as a data controller? My data is gone. The law is still there. Those two things must be infused together. As we sit here, we are 3 arms: the industry, the academia, and the government. To the academia, maybe through the dean, I really want to beseech you guys. You need to invite these industry practitioners somewhere aside of this particular conference. Let them provide you with what they actually require in the field. Sometimes my CEO, and by the way, my CEO is half Kenyan and half French. We come here in Nairobi and we sit down and we ask ourselves, how can we assist our country here? How can we assist our local people here? And something by the way is boiling somewhere in between my company and another university here in Kenya on how we can actually create this form of awareness. We need to have the academia coming together with this particular industry, getting this information, trying to change what is actually on our programs. It is only through that that we'll actually be able to understand what is actually happening in the rest of the world. To the government, make laws, enforce them. That's where we have a problem. We have a problem with enforcement. If only the government today can just wake up and say, we are enforcing the Data Protection Act. We are enforcing fully. I'm not saying that they are not, fully. We are enforcing the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act. Our graduates, IT graduates, who are toiling out there, jobless, all of them, they'll actually have jobs. All of them, they'll actually have jobs. Why? Because that law creates positions for our IT graduates. But until somebody sits somewhere and does what is needful, we will continue passing another law, but it will not create any impact at all. With those few remarks, I just want to simply say that packets are universal. This is just a small global customer base that we have. And by there, I also want to tell the industry people, because I think also maybe some of them could be here. when you have trainees or interns coming to your organizations, stop blocking the server room as if when these guys get inside there, everything will collapse. Because unakuta mtu ni wa IT, amepatiwa help desk ya procurement only to feed LPOs there, that's it. I am glad that, in fact, I remember my very first assignment after I got employed by this company here was to actually manage a project that was taking place between the company and Airbus in Spain. And I was like, are these guys serious? These guys want to lose this job, because I was really not ready to handle that kind of an issue. But it is something that I have seen taking place almost in every other organization worldwide. We need to open our server rooms to trainees. We need to educate them. We need to train them. We need to show them exactly what is actually happening in those server rooms. Unless we do that, there is no way that you're actually pushing the baton to the next generation. With those few remarks, I yield. Thank you.
Let's appreciate Steve once again. You know, Steve, I must consider myself the greatest beneficiary of this conference, and I'm regretting that I didn't come for the other days. But you use some terms. I had to consult with my brother Joshua. What is a TCP handshake? Kumbe, it's just getting a message and it confirms it comes, surely. Yeah, but one of the issues you've raised, which for me is critical, is the African cybersecurity solutions. Because I used to be sometimes disturbed, even for us. At one point, you have issues with your system, and you want to consult with guys. And these are the guys who developed this, so we like to go. And you know they are asleep, so you wait until they wake up for that issue to be resolved and for you to continue with your work, which would sometimes cause a lot of inefficiency. But thank you very, very much for that presentation. Let's give him another round of applause, please. I have never been able to receive this in the manner. I have now been able to understand. You know, I'm an expert now. I go back to the department and say, well, you know, there is a router, and then there is a wall, and then there is a distribution, you know, all those things. But thank you. May God bless you. My dear Dean, I think you will guide us on the next presenter, because I know you have a better idea than I have. And so we will appreciate her again, even as she comes, until she gets here. Don't be tired of clapping, because it encourages the human spirit. Okay? Yeah, thank you very much. There are a few who are very faithful in appreciating her until she reaches here. The others who get tired, but thank you.
Thank you so much. In the ICT building at the River Campus is a room that I normally go and admire. Now, I know when I sit there, I will understand what is happening. Thank you so much, Steve. And I'm sure we are all learning. As you kept talking, I was looking behind and saying, wow, the guys in that area must be enjoying, because the terms were just flowing like it's the norm. But for me, I understood, or I carried these major points that we need a sit down. Okay, there's this statement we hear so many times, that the universities are graduating half-baked graduates. Now you know how to, sometimes it's really not true. But the industry is here saying they want us to hear them. And I want to tell them, we are also willing to hear you. And that's why we do bring in our students for attachment. And I'm so happy on the point where you called upon the industry not to make our students on attachment, the T-boys and the cleaners, the sweepers, and the ones carrying the bag for the MD. They're actually there to learn. Allow them. Probably, if you don't want them in the server room, let them be there with somebody. I know we an incident where one of our students broke a camera while working in a certain industry. The camera was expensive. The industry understood what was happening. There was talk, and that student works in that industry, not to pay for the camera, but because he learned a big lesson. So there is a lesson in everything that happens. So we are listening, and that's why we have you here, Steve, that when our students come there, you will give them the best opportunity. The other thing that I did hear you ask is that, so we are saying the academy listen to the industry because these things are changing. We did our curriculum for computer science in the year 2002. We have revised it every 5 years, and in between the 5 years, we revise it every year because computer science and IT, you cannot use the yesteryear's curriculum. Even the students are usually the first to ask you, what are we learning? Yes, they actually would almost fail to come to class because one of the difference between the IT students and probably even the communication students is they are so informed of what they want and where they are going that if the lecturer or the facilitator is not up to date, they will know. So, and Daystar takes care of that by ensuring we revise our curriculum almost every other semester or every semester through our course outline. The third thing I had is to the government, create the rules but enforce them, because if that happens, our graduates will get the jobs they have trained for, the jobs we have trained them for. So thank you so much. We hope to actually get to collaborate with you. One of the reasons why we called for this conference is to engage with the industry to create more future collaborations for our students, because gone are the days when students sat for 4 years in the lecture theater, graduated and went to work. They will be so green than you were that day when you were made to do a project. So thank you so much, Steve Kariuki. And I will request you humbly to walk back to the podium. In Daystar, we respect our African culture, that when you do well, when you visit, we give you a cup of tea. So in this bag, and you see this bag carries our logo in bold. I looked at your customer base. I did not see any university. I saw huge, giant companies. So we want our logo on your board. And one way of doing that is through a serious collaboration, and I will be talking to you about that. Let's do an MOU. So we want you to carry, and when you make sure you go through town with this bag. Yes, they will know where you're coming from. And inside here is our appreciation for you and our hope that now what you've talked about will bring to you, our students, so that you can teach them. Because some skills need apprentice. It's not just in class. So I'll ask my colleague to hand it over to you. Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Jane Kemathi. Awarding Steve Kariuki. Yes. Yeah, students, the MOU is agreed upon. So I want to welcome to this podium, appreciate an MOU. An MOU means when you appear there with your attachment application, I can even give you a copy of that MOU to attach. So I want to call to us now a colleague that I've known, though we've never met face-to-face, Mr. Rajesh, a person I'm calling to even come and do our master's program or even PhD. Rajesh, walk over here, because this will be your area of when you become our student. See, we are now looking for students also. Yeah, and you can imagine a student who can also talk at the conference. Thank you so much. Karibu. You will introduce yourself and tell us, because we've heard from Kariuki, what about identity?
Hello. Good morning. Thank you, Daystar University, Cyber, for giving me a chance to interact with you at least. My name is Rajesh. No, it is Today, I have chosen a topic, digital identity. So, along with this digital identity, today we know that we are in the era of digital age, and identity is must. And that is why the regulation and other departments are still struggling how to get a digital identity. It is applicable to every country, every individual, government also, because government has to take care of their citizen via digital identity. Digital identity, everywhere, if you are doing something, because in today's date, everyone is get connected by digital. If you could see, if you can connect with the world, how somebody will ensure the digital identity is accurate? And that is why these frauds and other things are happening across. Cybercrime and other things are part of digital identity. Once you are strict to identify yourself and your colleague or somebody digitally, I think we'll cover at least 90% of the frauds. You can restrict a fraud by digital identity. Today, I have seen many cases, since last time I'm getting many cases, many investigators, as part of many investigation, especially in, I'm giving you a brief. I'm from banking sector. As a part of cybersecurity, I'm managing financial sectors and to guide them. I was getting involved in various fraud happens. So by the time of investigation, it is coming to a consideration that how these things were, we can create. By the time of analysis, it is 5 why of analysis. It means how this issue happened, why it was happened. There are 5 kind of why. So I encourage all students here, so they should also, if they're trying to start their career, or if they're in the mid of the career, they should read it. 5 why analysis, why it is come into a consideration. So by the time you'll understand. So today's area, so nowadays, frauds are happening. You are getting some digital messages, some mail, hyperlink, maybe on call. So you are getting all those things. And other common area, if you are going somewhere, if you are traveling somewhere, people are very much happy to put their picture, put the locations. I am traveling for 15 days. So by that, in digital era, you are giving a chance to the fraudsters. They should understand this person is not here around, and it is easy for me to perform something or take some action. So those are the small things I think we need to consider. And another one, I'm talking about digital identity. For any laptop, mobile, and other things you are using for communication, digital communication, it is having an identity. But apart from that, human identities are not there. Because while communicating, we are not authorized or authenticating ourselves. If we are authenticating ourselves, the opponent, we are not able to know how they are getting authenticated to connect with me. So, and here, no communication will come. So it is you only to identify whether I am communicating with the right person or not. So there are few criteria, at least you can keep it on mind by communicating others, or communicating digitally, or connecting digitally, if you're connecting digitally somewhere. Because it is not possible, you are sitting here, you cannot connect face-to-face with world. So that is why digital identity comes into a serious note, right? So, digital identity. For organization, talking about now organization. Organizations, once you are joining with your organization, they are asking for some identity. So that is your physical identity. What about your digital identity? Apart from that organization, from anywhere else you are connected or not, how you will ensure? That is why these days, few organizations, they have started yours to check your social media pages as well, where you are connected. So you cannot know a person's history by just interacting with them. So that is why, so you can reach out the social media pages. Maybe the professionals are getting connected with LinkedIn or maybe other things. But many people, apart from LinkedIn, I don't think anywhere else we are putting the right messages. So these are few area. I'm just giving a little bit a hint that few area you need to keep it on your mind by connecting to any person across world. So at least you can put a safeguard to yourself, not others. You are putting a safeguard to yourselves by exploring digital identity methods. Hope you are agree with me. Okay, good. Another point. Now, coming into digital learning technology. So, my friend also, he has explained well. Nowadays, people are also moving their career into AI. But in AI also, it will not giving you a full coverage. Full coverage. It can guide you on the history. It can guide you on the history. To take leverage of those things. From history, you should identify a few things. But yes, the real-time threats you cannot assure because 0 days are always 0 days. So no one is having a control. Only your vigilant can save yourself and or your organization. Today you are a student and tomorrow you may be joined some organization. And you will be part of that cyber journey, their cyber journey. So only your vigilance can save the organization. If you are vigilant, then you can put a safeguard to the organization. Today people are moving with AI. AI can support many things AI can support. But you have to learn from there what support you are getting from AI. Apart from AI, what all are the things you can take care first, justify. What is the digital things I'm getting from AI and what I'm not getting from AI? Can I explore or can I brainstorm this in a different way? There are other tool learning methodologies are there, so you can learn those things. Nowadays, organizations also started this multi-factor authenticator. It is part of digital identity. Multi-factor authenticator, if you can see, in multi-factor authentication, it will ask for dual identity. Right. So, sometime we heard that yes, Microsoft also bypassed via that multi-factor authentication. Then they have added another clause. So, along with multi-factor authentication, there is a two-way communication of message in this real time. So it will give you a 1 minute of window, and over there you can put your multi-factor authentication along with your communication message. If that three will match sequentially, then you will get access. Right? So these are the small things and digital identity you have to explore. Giving you another topic on this digital identity. Very recently we heard about some frauds happen in this country, okay, in Kenya. People are just bypassing the QR code, right? So people are getting they're sharing some QR code. A funny thing is, it is look like the same QR code, but it is not the actual code. And some people are paying it is like some bills you're paying, and you know that I'm getting this, but the source is authorized source, and no one is evaluating that, and then they're just trying to do a payment, and after that raising a case with the DCI team, and then saying that yes, this fraud happened to us, and now what is next? So during the investigation, these people are coming to know that the mobile number are used over there. It was part of a SIM swap. Okay, and they have created similar look-alike QR code, but there are some differences are there. So sometime, why I'm telling you, sometime your vigilance can save yourselves. Technology is there. Technology is for humans. But how effectively you are using that is the question. And along with the uses of technology, how vigilant you are. So you can verify yourself with that thing. Whether the source code or source detail I have received, is it a genuine thing? There are a lot of open source things available in internet to evaluate. At least a basic checklist you can prepare yourself, especially for students who are part of cyber journey. Think yourself, what else I can do? What else it could be to put a extra line of defense on the digital technology? Then you probably will get the answer. Am I right? Yeah? That's good. Can anyone tell what is the thought in digital identity, especially for students, if anyone is having anything in mind? Yeah, please. Yeah. Right. So you mean to say that online you're connecting to someone? Yeah. So it is also a good topic. So here you can use of how AI can support on history, check the history, because you are connecting with someone. You are here, and any part of world you are connecting someone. So there are a lot of media, a lot of mechanism you can explore, because once you come to know that it is a recently created account, you need to very careful. You need to very careful of recently created account. And what is the circle that ID is having? It is having some ID because they have some connections. In each ID you can get some connection. If the connections are less, And ID was created very recently. So you need to very careful and you explore more prior to enhance your communication or sharing your personal identity to them. Right or wrong? Yeah, that's good. So that is why now digital identity comes into a serious consideration. Government entities are also working on it. Very soon, you'll get some good news that yes, they've onboarded some national level digital identity. Very soon it is going to happen because during data protection, to enhancing or enforcing data protection policy, it is coming to a consideration. How to identify a person digitally. I know my colleagues, everyone, but how they could authenticate me? It is me. It is Rajesh. Digitally. So that way, you know, very soon the technology will, it is a evolving technology. So very soon some solutions are coming in national level, and the government entities are working on it, and very soon we'll get some good news for this collaboration and the enhancement of digital identity, which can support all of us, all the citizens. It is part of the government as well to safeguard their citizen via digital evaluation. So hope for the best and thank you.
Let's appreciate him one more time, please. Wow. Thank you. I think the aspect of digital identity is one that we will continue and we will need to continue interrogating. And so thank you very, very much, Gameli, for that presentation. I want to hope, especially in the face of issues of crime and things like that, that because whenever they tell us, for example, in the bank, they go out for their training, they are told how to identify real money from fake money. And so in the digital space, I hope we will be able to get to that level. I want to invite, thank you very much. Let's appreciate him once again. Yeah. I thought Dr. Kemath is here to conduct something, but since she's not here, allow me to invite our dean once again. The next speaker is one that has had a long relationship with the dean, even with all of us, but specifically with the dean. And so I want to give her the honors to introduce him, and then I think we will get guidance after that. When Jen comes back, we will be able to appreciate Gameli in a better way. So thank you. Yes, they say they are ready. Yes. Yeah, as she catwalks, can we appreciate her once again? Yeah. Don't be scared of walking.
No. Thank you so much. Digital identity, like it has been said, is something we probably want to interact with, probably have a discussion around that, because we keep hearing about your digital identity. If you are from my basic line of operation, we talk about carbon print, so we can identify how much carbon you have produced since you started operating, and how much of pollution you are contributing with. So this, on the other side now, we are hearing about our digital identity. So we will interrogate that part as we move on. So we want to listen from, we want to go virtual now and listen from one of our invited guests. We want to bring to us Ambassador Professor Peter Kamau Wagure. Now you know him. Professor Ngure, or Ambassador Ngure, is, I said, the former immediate Dean, School of Science, Engineering, and Health. I like calling him my mentor. We may look like we are age mates, but he's really mentored me while here and while away. We look at him as having been the person to birth most of what we are teaching within the School of Science, Engineering, and Health, right from the new School of Nursing, which is no longer new, through computer science, public health, biomedical sciences, mathematics, all those. By profession, he's an educator. He is a researcher of global reach. If you go online, you don't even have to listen to me. Just go back to your phone and Google Professor Peter Ngure. You can read his work, but don't go now because you'll not get to hear. There's so much about him. Get to the Google Scholar, read about him, and probably even publish a paper. He is a well-published guy, professor, well-read. I also say one that has mentored very many people from undergraduate, masters, PhD, both here in Kenya, Africa, and even at a global level. He left Daystar sometimes back, joined a different organization where he was running a postgraduate program that was of a global reach. He's worked with the Technical University of Kenya, and most recently, he was the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academics at St. Paul's University. But one thing that is constant about Ambassador Professor Ngure is he keeps touch with his mentees. He's kept touch with Daystar. As much as he's all over the globe, he has kept in touch with us. He's been encouraging us as a school while away. And that's why when we thought of a professor who would speak about health, his research is mainly in the area of health on a wide scale, public health, biomedical health, and he's one widely fast scholar, as I had said earlier. So we were wondering, who is this that will speak on a global scale about health? And his name came top to our mind. So Professor Ngure, we want to welcome you to join us through this enabled media. We are here at Daystar at Voi, but in between whatever they are doing, they've kept in touch, and I did inform them that you will be speaking at 10 a.m. this morning. So we want to welcome you to this conference and start by appreciating your willingness to put a comma in what you're doing today. I want to tell these members here that you are prepared to come here physically, but of course, having to work and report to your own bosses. Things happened, and you have now to speak to us online. We appreciate you giving us your time, and now we want to give you the next 20 to 25, 30 minutes to speak to us on the matters AI and health and digital technology, and I know you're going to speak to us. So let's welcome Professor Ngure by a clap. Yes, welcome, welcome, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you hear.
Professor Martha Carey, the Dean School of Science, Engineering and Health. I hope I'm loud and clear, just to confirm.
You are, Prof.
Thank you for the opportunity and for the very kind words. It's only by God's grace that we are able to do what we are able to do, but I want to say there's much more that God expects us to do, like we move forward. Thanks again for inviting me to speak to this very distinguished audience and for the congratulations for organizing such a very timely and very relevant conference. is not just Africa that is grappling with artificial intelligence. Allow me to start. I will not necessarily follow my presentation slide by slide because I would want to work within the timeline provided, but allow me just to speak as I move the slides as appropriate. I would want to say one of the most significant things that comes out very strongly, because I know I'm coming on the last day of a great conference and you've already delved very deep in these matters, that one of the worst worries on our planet today is the fact that the conversations and the ownership of artificial intelligence is really in the hands of 3 countries. The leading country is the United States of America, followed closely by China, and number 3 is the United Kingdom. Number 4 is Canada, 5 is Germany, 6 is France, 7 is Singapore, and South Korea is number 8, and the rest follow. The first 3 own more than 75% of everything that concerns artificial intelligence. And in a recent meeting with the ambassador of the European Union at UNESCO and her team, Europe is already in a panic mode because they have, just like us, woken up too recently to realize how important artificial intelligence is and how critical it will be moving forward. And they have started very deep conversations, and they can proudly say that they are the only subcontinent that have an act that speaks specifically to artificial intelligence. So if you go online, you'll be able to find the European Union Act on Artificial Intelligence, which tends to bring a lot of order in terms of how this emerging and developing technology will be harnessed and controlled. One of the worst worries from the European Union is that whoever controls artificial intelligence will actually control the whole world. I remember attending a meeting where we were very few, and the head of artificial intelligence in Europe was saying that one of the top global conversations that is loading is lobbying to ensure that no single country will dominate artificial intelligence. In a way of joking, although he sounded serious, he said that the pace at which artificial intelligence is growing, it would be possible one morning for a country to switch off the whole world. You stop the transport, you stop the flights, you stop the education system, you stop hospitals from functioning. You can bring to a halt all the critical functions, including the military of the world, just by pressing the button. And since USA and China are really up there, and as we mentioned China has an ambition to be the number 1, to be the zenith of artificial intelligence by 2030. And since the gap from number 3 to 4 and the rest is so wide, there are conversations to say some countries should actually slow down, and they should be able to agree to the fact that no single country or a few countries should own AI. I'm sure with that, Europe, and specifically the European Union, will be working day and night to ensure that they catch up. You can see that from the list of the top 8, India did not feature. Yet India is a powerhouse if you compare it with Africa in terms of artificial intelligence. You can see that South Korea, which is a relatively small country, and Singapore also featuring very strongly in the top 8. And you can almost see that there is a similar trend in terms of how strong an economy is if you compare it with how strong a country is in matters of artificial intelligence. For example, Korea now is among the top 11 countries in terms of economics. They are really galloping, and in the next 3 to 5 years, of course, Korea will definitely find its space in the top 10. Now, having said that, with the European Union's move to stop a country or a few countries from dominating the AI space, one of the things that is being lobbied on the global platform is to ensure that no single continent is left behind. And I'm mentioning that intentionally, and you can guess that the next statement I'm going to make is that all these major economies have already started planning and are looking for connections specifically with Africa, because the trends that we have on research and patents and other very sad trends where we are thinking of less than 1%, less than 2%, is very true also for artificial intelligence. But the comforting thing is that the major economies are readying themselves to support African nations that will be willing to venture into these big conversations around artificial intelligence and dive to the deep end and try in the shortest time to start deploying it. Of course, it's a very ambitious venture, but very timely. But what does this have in terms of geopolitical alignments? It means that we are at the verge of seeing another round of what I would call a scramble for Africa. On the flip side, Africa in general, Africa state parties, as we call them out here, or countries, are so ignorant. I'm sorry, I'm an African, but I have to say this, are so ignorant of what artificial intelligence is and how important it is in all the sectors. And most African nations, if you talk to different ambassadors from different countries, and if you call even a meeting just to discuss artificial intelligence, their number one worry is that their data will be stolen. And yet, me and you know that when you think about data and the safety of data on our continent, our worry is completely unfounded, because the US, for example, has much more data about Africa than any African country. So there's a lot of misconception and a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of myths around artificial intelligence. Some people relate it to the end of the world. Some people just know it from the narrow perspective of ChatGPT and how it is turning around the education sector, not knowing that there's so much that comes in. The leading countries are very serious about this. Statistics, for example, indicate that the United Kingdom is readying itself to make up to $814 billion from artificial intelligence be able to hit this. What am I saying in a nutshell? I'm saying in a nutshell that any country, any institution that does not ready itself and does not quickly move to engaging in matters artificial intelligence stands a very high risk of being completely left behind, and playing catch up may not be the right thing to do. In those many words, I'm saying congratulations for being on this landscape and readying yourself and engaging, and also providing leadership as the School of Science at Daystar University. We should then be able to look out for opportunities that will be coming up, but with a little caution that we need to know who we are talking to and what they are offering. I was in China less than a month ago, and whereas here we are talking on PowerPoint, what is artificial intelligence, how can it be deployed, the conference I attended was being managed by robots. So artificial intelligence was really, you can see artificial intelligence at work. Instead of getting an usher who welcomes you to the venue, you find a good artificial intelligence lady there, very competently engaging with you in any language that you speak and answering all the questions that you have and helping you to navigate. So the reality, in summary, is that we are already in a space where we should fast track our discussions, probably stop talking too much and start acting much more. If you look at the Asian countries, and especially the United Arab Emirates, countries there have also taken these conversations very seriously. And as they say, the only country on planet Earth that has a minister specifically responsible for artificial intelligence is the United Arab Emirates. Fortunately, I'll be coming down to Nairobi in the last week of June, and we will have a mega forum for 3 days between the 24th and 26th. We'll welcome Daystar to come and join in. Early this year, there was a Nairobi declaration, and from the regional forum that we have organized jointly with UNESCO and many, many players, we are targeting at coming up with what we call the Nairobi Action Plan. So can we move from a declaration to an action plan? Can we be able to guide the 14 countries in the wider Eastern Africa region to delve deep into matters artificial intelligence? And when I looked at your program here, it was very, very intelligently crafted, because the program that we'll be running has so many overlaps with what you have done, where you're moving from definition all the way to different applications in different fields. So you are really spot on. Keep up. As a university, please prioritize matters to do with artificial intelligence. Talk to your management board, deans, directors, and others who provide leadership to invest as much. Talk to them to engage with Google and Anthology and other companies that deal with this space. There's a lot of money coming in that direction in matters artificial intelligence, so that you can be in the forefront of tapping into the opportunities that come with this. Of course, the opposite is that you can be left behind, but I can see you're not left behind. Allow me now to go through a few slides as we give ideas about the intersections or the nexus between artificial intelligence and healthcare, and how expert systems stand to influence this landscape on our planet. So we will be looking at a few definitions. I will not dwell much on that. I think I've spent the time by updating you on how critical this conversation is, and I think even if I leave now, you have already gotten the message that it is the hottest topic as we speak. Now, you must be knowing very clearly that conversations around artificial intelligence started quite a while ago in the 50s, and by the mid-50s, John McCarthy and others started coining the terms artificial intelligence. For Africa, somebody even asked, so what is the translation of this term in Swahili? We have not even thought about the equivalent. But in a nutshell, you must by now be appreciating the fact that when you think about artificial intelligence, we are thinking of a situation where computer systems mimic human behavior. They are able to think, they are able to act, they are able to control. In one of the critical meetings that I attended, one of the top AI gurus actually confirmed to us that as we speak, computers, and specifically AI technology, has already caught up with how fast we think and act. And he said, bit worried, that in the next 1 to 3 years, this technology will have overtaken the human being in terms of how fast we think and deploy. And he said, the implications of that are totally unimaginable, because you're wondering, if a machine can think faster and better than the most intelligent human being, then what are the implications of the same? Now, having mentioned that, then it means that as we navigate AI, we should not leave behind issues to do with the ethics of artificial intelligence, because without ethical considerations, some people may actually take advantage of this. I'm also sure that by now you've looked at expert systems, where you are thinking of the fact that AI-based programs tend to simulate judgment and behavior of a human expert, and then they are able to complement human experts by mimicking our reasoning actions and expertise. On the other hand, if you're thinking of healthcare and AI, or what we call healthcare expert systems, we are implying the deployment of AI-based programs in delivering healthcare services to individuals or communities. If somebody is a medical doctor or a nurse, this should be a little bit scary to you, because you're saying we are in a space where AI is helping us to deploy healthcare. But in the foreseeable future, in the next 5 years or less, AI will be at a position where, as I just mentioned a minute ago, there's a possibility that AI could actually overtake humans and be able to deliver healthcare services much better than we do to individuals and communities. Of course, there are many unknowns in there. This is a scheme that I will not explain, but it simply shows you how a typical expert system architecture looks like from the human expert and how that goes through the coding and the development of the knowledge base, then the inference, and all the way back to the user. The aim of this keynote really is to present in this limited time the possibilities that the African continent can leverage on as far as artificial intelligence is concerned, and especially the name of leapfrogging the healthcare delivery. But we start by quoting Gitahi, who recently said that Africa is the only continent where in the majority of countries, the majority of people still do not access basic health services. I think this statement makes much more sense when you visit a developed nation. For example, one of the things that I observed here in France is that there is a law in terms of how far apart a pharmacy or a chemist, as we call it back in Nairobi, should be from the other. When you visit Paris, you realize that after every 500 meters or so, there is a pharmacy or a chemist. And I've been wondering, why do we have so many pharmacies? Who manages them? Who pays for them? Healthcare in such countries is taken as the highest priority. And of course, it's very expensive. But back at home, then, you can be sure that most of our countries are not doing well. So we are facing challenges, including human resources. Of course, here now it's at the continental level. Some of this may not directly apply to Kenya because Kenya is way ahead of many African nations, and we are in a privileged position to the extent that we are exporting our health experts across the world, and they are very, very well respected. One of the key challenges, as we know, is inadequate budgetary allocation to health. And when you have inadequate budgetary allocation to health, then the rest of what is supposed to move is affected. In a number of countries, we have issues to do with leadership and management. In Kenya, we still grapple a bit in appointing CEOs of Moi Teachers, Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital and others. But I think in Kenya, leadership and management is not so much of a challenge. It's more of budgetary challenges that boomerang on us. Later on, when you look at these slides, and especially those of you in health sciences, we've helped you to map out the challenges within the 6 pillars of health systems: access, financing, leadership, workforce, service delivery, health information systems, and others. I don't want to dwell so much on that. This is a graph that paints a very gloomy picture. A few years ago in Abuja, we had what we call the Abuja Declaration, where through the African Union, African governments committed to put aside 15% of the budget of each country and invest it in health matters. But as you can see from the graph, and this goes to 2020, the countries that by 2020 were doing very well are Namibia and Lesotho. But if you think about Namibia and Lesotho, Namibia, as big as it is, as large as it is, has less than 3 million population. Lesotho is a small country that is already surrounded by another country, and the bigger countries like Kenya, Tanzania, Mali, Malawi, and the others invest less than 3% of their annual budget in terms of healthcare. And with such low investments, really we can't make so much progress. And because of that, if you're to look at key statistics on healthcare in Africa, they are very, very gloomy, as indicated here. In terms of healthcare professionals, we still have a shortage. And even where we have well-trained healthcare workers, like the case in Kenya, the government does not have sufficient budget to hire. So our indices do not compare well at all. And because of that, infant mortality rates and other indices that are used to check how healthy a community is are very, very dire. But then let's go to our pet subjects of looking at the AI capabilities in healthcare delivery. And in a nutshell, Bill Gates, who supports AI and many other health projects, recently said that artificial intelligence will soon give patients the abilities to do basic triage, get advice about how they deal with health problems, and decide whether they need to seek treatment. Sooner or later, doctors will not be so privileged to receive patients who have not made decisions. People will be able to leverage on AI, know their health status, and then make a decision as to whether they need to conduct a healthcare expert, or if they can, by themselves, using AI, be able to resolve the challenges that they have. We'll be giving a little more light to this in a few minutes. So widely speaking, if you're thinking about AI capabilities in healthcare, you're thinking about expert systems, you're thinking about a very, very empowered physician. Quite a number of physicians are well-trained, but a human being is a complex being. So even where you think this procedure is necessary, or a surgery is necessary, or this prescription is the best, and where there are options, it has become increasingly difficult to make the perfect decision of how to navigate when you're dealing with a certain patient. So AI, or harnessing of AI, will really, really empower our doctors. It will also help us to improve in matters to do with patient care. It's a very critical tool for research and development, and it will very soon, and is already revolutionizing the whole arena of medical imaging and diagnostics. To shed a little more light to this, you can see some specifics here. For example, if you are to think about patient care, I've already mentioned issues to do with real-time prioritization and triage, things to do with pregnancy management, things to do with automated diagnosis and treatment, meaning that a patient will be able to self-diagnose and very, very accurately, and be able to, through AI, be able to determine what appropriate treatment is there, and where there are treatment options, be able to choose the best that applies to them. If you think about imaging and diagnostics, I've already mentioned that this is being revolutionized, and as indicated here, we'll have error-free diagnostic results. Professor Chiari and others will tell you that if you're dealing with infectious diseases like malaria, flu, etc., the symptoms are usually strikingly similar, but we are moving towards an arena where we'll be able to tell without any fear of doubt that this patient is suffering from falciparum malaria, and we are sure that it is malaria and not typhoid or any other infectious disease. This will be based on what the AI experts call intelligent symptom analysis. We'll be able to zero on what we call the characteristic symptoms and be able to isolate. If it is diagnosis based on technologies like radiology or medical imaging, they will be properly optimized. For the physicians or doctors, we'll soon have, we already have, in China, UK, and America, we have surgical robots, but we'll have many more of them taking over some of the functions that our medical doctors push. I will not speak to everything. So clinical trials, for example, in Africa have been very difficult to undertake. but with the enhancement of artificial intelligence and harnessing of the same, it will be much, much easier for those delving into clinical trials to leapfrog and be able to give us much more data. On the overall, we are saying that we'll be moving at a much paced manner, and we'll also be able to make very, very specific decisions. And all these decisions, again, will be augmented by the fact that research and development in the healthcare space will be much more enhanced. So, better drug discovery. I'm looking forward to the near future where the many medicinal plants in Africa and the active ingredients that they have will be utilized or will be harnessed, and the active ingredients will be tapped without so much of delay. In the same manner, we'll be able to predict pandemics. I don't want to remind you how COVID-19 harassed the whole world. So I don't think COVID in the next few years will have the privilege of harassing us, because the tools of AI will be sharpened to the extent that we can be able to predict, detect, anticipate, and mitigate pandemics. Of course, vaccine development will be leapfrogged. This in a nutshell, on this slide, in a nutshell, this slide in a broad way summarizes to us what artificial intelligence is capable of delivering. If this was 3 years ago, we would say in future. But since the top 8 countries are already harnessing this technology, we can say that we are already experiencing, and for these developed nations, they are sharpening these technologies. So the rest of my slides are more of details around those points that I've already made. So, for example, on this slide, we are adding on the fact that we should be able to have better surgery, because soon in the surgery rooms, we'll have human doctors collaborating with surgical robots. And in the foreseeable future, God forbid, if somebody fell sick and needed surgery, most probably it will be a robot operating on an individual. Of course, this has its own ramifications from the ethics, from myths, from cost implications. And if you're thinking about Africa, you're also thinking about access to these technologies. You're thinking about the internet. You're thinking about the basics, even electricity connection. So where you don't have connection, so what do you do? We thought that Africa is a dark continent, but it will be even much more darker when we think about harnessing of all these technologies. If you go to matters research, drug development, and vaccine development, of course, you can't avoid looking at genetic engineering. In the foreseeable future, we should be able to provide health solutions for any genetically or hereditary conditions, because we'll be able to manipulate our DNA much faster and in a much more accurate manner. So in a nutshell, we are saying that we are now in a space where AI technologies will soon be harnessed for healthcare delivery. We hope that Africa will catch up probably in the next 5 to 10 years. As we deploy that, we need to be very conscious of the ethics around it. But we also need not to fear. As intellectuals, we need to delve deep, understand these technologies better. And the deployment of AI is rather obvious that this will require a transdisciplinary, or if you like it, a multidisciplinary approach, where sociologists, anthropologists, philosophers, engineers, statisticians, medical doctors, nurses, computer experts will all work together in developing and deploying the technologies. Of course, much more research will be required to see how best to harness these technologies. Allow me to pause there and take it back to the moderator. Thank you very, very much.
Ambassador Professor Peter Ngure, thank you very, very much for that lovely presentation. I know this is a very familiar ground for you. I don't want to, because I know we have a panel place or forum, but I don't want to close without, because I know you will not be on the call forever, so I don't want to close before I entertain one or two issues just from anyone that would be, it would be a privilege to talk to the ambassador, and I can see we already have a hand there, we have a microphone there. But Prof, I was also encouraged to note that it's not just education which is endangered in terms of the professions that are threatened by the AI, because even doctors, one of the issues I really get discouraged when I go to see a doctor is you go check and the doctor is Googling to see what to do. I feel that one, I just leave, I don't stay. But I'm happy that even that is also threatened. And it's not just about teachers. But what you've also indicated about the infrastructure, I think to have this come to pass would be very critical to have the relevant infrastructure that will be able to help us to be able to go that direction. But I think we have a question. You can just mention your name, and then you will shoot. Maybe I will have one or two before Professor responds, and then after that we will allow him to exit. Please, you're welcome. You can put it on. Yeah, it's working now. I think it's working.
My name is Faith Mothaka. I think Ambassador...
Faith, you're a student?
Yes, I am.
In which major?
Computer science, applied computer science.
Oh, okay.
He mentioned that, sorry. The ambassador mentioned that we could get to a point where AI surpasses some of the human medical experts that we have in terms of preference for people who would... Some of them would argue that it's cheaper to consult AI or ChatGPT for medical advice, quote unquote, or for just a basic diagnosis and all of that of their health or how they're feeling, so that they can, which could lead to self-medication and self-diagnosis, right? But I have had an experience where Gemini or Google Bard, the AI tool by Google, was once very renowned for providing therapeutic advice to patients. And I think the developers noticed that very many patients were relying on Bard for therapeutic advice. And during the next update, they decided to take away Bard's ability to give advice on any emotional matters. So my question is, would you advise the developers or experts in the AI field to take away the restrictions on AI tools to give medical or therapeutic advice or emotional, quote unquote, advice? And what would that mean? If you do advise for them to take away these restrictions, what would that mean for our safety or data safety and cyber safety?
Wow. Thank you so much, Faith. But next to her, you can make it very short, please.
Okay, my name is Rodney Mwanje. I am a computer science student in my 4th year. So my question is, in the 1950s when AI was growing, one of the challenges we had was there were a lot of exaggerations on what exactly AI can do. And what it resulted to was there were budget cuts because they were not able to keep up to what they were saying it can do. Do you think we are repeating ourselves by exaggerating like where AI is currently and what it can do currently? And if we are going that direction and we go back to the AI winter, as they call it, how can we as a country go through that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, Prof, we will allow just those two so that you can be able to respond. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. I hope they are not AI. applied computer science, which we developed while we were working for Daystar, is not a small course. It's one of the most challenging. And congratulations for daring. You are the people we are relying on to provide leadership in matters AI, etc. Madam Modaka, your concern has to do with access on one hand and restrictions on the other hand in terms of artificial intelligence tools. And while there, you are also concerned about data safety. Let me answer, but rather in a simplistic manner. One of the things that we are doing at UNESCO is to help Africa get her foot into the AI space with both feet. And the forum that I mentioned that will be brought down to Nairobi by the end of the month, the next step will be to take the outcomes of that forum to the Africa Union. And in summary, we are motivating African state parties, and they are cooperating, luckily, to sign off on an AI strategy, a continental AI strategy that is at a very advanced stage of being developed. The strategy on one hand is to help governments to make very specific decisions and to be properly guided in terms of the do's and don'ts. Africa as a continent is also lobbying at the highest level because practically, as much as we have experts like Faith and Rudin and others, we lack resources to deploy or even to harness the AI technology as it is today. So, but I've seen so many willing partners wanting to invest in AI. Of course, there's no free lunch, as they say. And I'm saying that to mean that in the near future, you'll see a lot of conversations around ethics. And when it comes to ethics, one of the most thorny ethical issues will have to do with access. For countries that are disadvantaged economically, we will be pushing for easier access, cheaper access if you're in the middle level, and even at the low level, we'll even push for free access to the AI technologies. I hope will be heard. On data safety, I'm not an expert on data protection, but Kenya is doing very well in this space. But as Africa, all I can say is that we can never feel safe. The main thing is that our data is in the hands of others rather than in our own hands. But again, when you think about data safety, this is a whole conversation that we can have the whole day. Just ask yourself, out of the information that you have about yourself and the data that you have about yourself, what percentage of that data is not already in the public domain? And number two, what would it mean if you kept that data? How will you utilize it? How important would it be to you? I'm not downplaying the fact that personal data or institutional data should just be left out there. But what I'm looking at is, if we delve so much into conversations around safety and restrictions and inhibitions, we'll be left by this AI buzz. So we have to look carefully at that which is very pricey to us and guard it. But for the rest, we have to trade in and be able to be benevolent in terms of allowing access, because it is this data that we need. And thinking about data, if we had time, we would have mentioned that even the quality of data, we're not just talking about access in Africa. We can no longer trust the quality of data that we provide, even the quality of research that we do in our institutions. You had, I've been in the university for over 30 years. It's not so much trusted. I would want probably one student out of just curiosity to pick theses from 10 or so randomly from 10 universities in Kenya, say MBA theses, and really validate that data. You might find many gaps here and there. So what am I saying? Whereas restrictions may be put in, we'll be lobbying for kind of unlimited access to AI tools for countries that do not have the liberties to access this data. As I mentioned, I gave you statistics of what UK is planning to harness and how China is planning to become #1. The main interest here has to do with their strength of their economy. So nothing will really be for free, but in the transition, we would better lobby and grow our own economy so that we are able to pay for the access and deployment of AI tools. And for Rodney Mwanje, in the 50s, as you rightly said, there were exaggerations in terms of what AI could do. But I believe that you can agree with me that 60, 70 years later, it's now 70 years later, the computers have grown. When I teach anything on computing and the rest, I rarely do that. I tell people that the first desktop I bought at 150,000 Kenyan shillings in 1997 had a memory of 1 GB, and that was very, very significant memory, 1 GB only. Today, 1 GB is not even the memory of a small flash disk. So what am I saying? I'm saying that in terms of computing has really galloped and moved in the last 70 years to the extent that the things that we are mentioning here and that which has been mentioned to you in the last 3 days are realities. I do not fear to say that we will go beyond what we are mentioning in this forum. Just watch the space. We do not have any probability of repeating the era of going back to what we call the AI winter. We are right into the middle of summer, and when you start traveling to the different directions, as I said earlier on, you actually see AI in action. For us, we are talking about it in a conference. Others are already using it in public spaces. Thank you very much, and all the best to Daystar University, a university that I really treasure. These conversations continue. As I said, I promise that I'll get a few of Daystar students and probably the Dean Science and DVC who will be available to participate in the 3-day forum, where again you will be in real time be updated on how far AI has gone and the prospects on the global platform, and then you'll be involved in conversations to do with for the Africa continent, where is AI going, and be able to create a loop and plow back to the university. Thanks again for this opportunity, and God bless you all.
Wow,
Bye.
thank you. Shall we appreciate Prof, please? And Prof, when you are making the invitation, I didn't hear you mention education. I'm head of education at Daystar. And so as I pass on to Prof here, think about it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Ambassador Professor Ngure. It's been very exciting listening to you, even seeing you. I know you would have wished to spend this day with us here on this conference. On my hand is an appreciation gift for you. The reason why I hold it outside the box is because I want to give it to somebody who will get it to your Nairobi home, because you're talking to us from Paris. So when you come back at the end of June, you will find it in your home. And this is the message that these participants are sending to you, that we appreciate you, Ambassador Professor Peter Ngure, for your presentation at the GCC 2024 conference at Nairobi. So thank you so much for taking time out of your assignment. We really appreciate you. You've sharpened us. And one thing you never fail to call on us when you appear before us, whether in person or even on a visit, is the quality of our research. And I'm sure if you go online, you see our Acting Director for Research, Innovation, Commercialization, Dr. Caroline Ayuya has actually reacted to your presentation, and I'm sure very soon we'll be getting to you. As you work with UNESCO, please remember Daystar. It's your home. You are actually a professor of this university. If these people don't know, this is where you touched base with your professorship. We have benefited personally. I have, my school has, this university has, and I'll tell them in your presence that you are the first man to ask this university, when will we do research? We've been teaching too much. So thank you. We are carrying on the torch. And we want now to release you so that you can go back to your government-appointed duties. The reason as to why you are not in your Kenyan home. Thank you so, so much. We pray that God will continue to bless you, to protect you, to keep you, that whenever you are in Nairobi or back in Kenya, please touch base with us. And we look forward to collaboration with UNESCO. When you are funding those researches, please remember Daystar is your home. Give us the funds. We'll do the research. And whenever there's an MOU to be written, you trained us how to write one. Now we are better. We can do a better one. So thank you so much. God bless you and keep you. This is your trophy. You find it in your home. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dean, Professor Kelly, for the gift and the very kind words. I will do my best to endeavor to make sure that whenever an appropriate opportunity arises, Daystar will be there. I also want at an opportune time to introduce you to NACOM UNESCO. We have a parastatal on the national building downtown in Nairobi, where whatever we have is here, we take it to the government through NACOM UNESCO. The Secretary General, Dr. James Jogu. I will introduce you to him because the government of Italy will soon expand issues to do with the research, and specifically the appointment of what we call UNESCO chairs, where you have a professor like you running a very well-funded research program, not just a project. And my ambition is that Daystar should be able to get 1, 2, or 3 research chairs while we are out here. Thanks again, and it's really a pleasure. God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, again, we want to appreciate our mover for the day, Dr. Joab Namai, the head of the Department of Education, the department that is receiving 198 students to come and do education in Daystar for the first time. Let's appreciate this HOD. And this happened because Dr. Namai sat down and revised that curriculum. So we will be teaching now biology teachers, physics teachers. Now you know I have to remember what has to do with us here. Mathematics teachers, computer science teachers. So now as they leave Daystar to go and teach, we will make sure that they will be AI enabled. They will know about cybersecurity. So thank you so much, Dr. Namai, for revitalizing education in Daystar. And we look forward to working with you and your department and spending this day with you on this conference. Thank you so much. So we are about to go for tea. We have tea ready. So we will all go take our tea very fast, rush here, listen to our next presenter very briefly, who will also be online. He was supposed to be here, but he did get unfortunately, he got involved in an accident. You don't want him to come here on a stretcher, I'm sure. So he will be speaking to us, and after that, we will go and engage in our group panel discussions. And please don't miss. Yesterday, I did make a point to attend the 3 rooms, and the papers therein were quite challenging. Forget the normal research that we do and we present in conferences. Here we are talking AI, cybersecurity, and some of it actually happening in our own primary schools. So if it is happening in the primary school, like the ambassador has said, we need to take a leapfrog, jump into the future, not backward. So let's rush, take our tea, in only 20 minutes, come back here, and while you are away, we'll prepare the next speaker. We will also project the topics for the next group of scholars that will be doing their presentation. And please make sure you attend, especially for the students. Go and hear what your own faculty are researching on, so that next time they come to class, you can actually ask a personalized question. So let's pray for tea. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you for technology, be man-enabled. You've given us this opportunity to gather here and also online to talk that which can make our lives more meaningful. Thank you for the people that have so far presented. And now as we go for a health break, you've provided us with the tea. We receive it in thanksgiving, and we continue to trust in you. For we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Enjoy your tea.
Thank you so much.
This AI technology tunapolia ni mwema, tunapocheka ni mwema.
Nashangilia sababu Mungu amejibu haja ya maswali magumu ya moyo wangu, ameniambia amerejesha kilichopotea. Nami sina budi kushangilia, japo sijaona kwa macho, ila naamini neno lako Bwana ni kweli. Hey, yeah, yeah. akatukumbatia. Je, ni nani angeweza kutuinua, kutuweka juu? Maana kila mtu alitukata, ila Mungu akatuinua. Je, ni nani angeweza kutupatia nafasi? Maana kila mtu alikata, ila Mungu akatupatia. Hakuangalia elimu zetu, hakuangalia mionekano yetu, aliangalia mioyo yetu. Kwake tukapata kibali. Amefanya, Mungu amefanya, amefanya, Mungu amefanya. Haikuwa rahisi kwa akili zetu, amefanya, 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 Mungu amefanya, amefanya, Mungu amefanya. Haikuwa rahisi kwa akili zetu, amefanya, amefanya. Je, ni nani angeweza kutukubali jinsi tulivyo? Maana kila mtu alitukata, ila Mungu akatukubali. Si elimu zetu, si ujuzi wetu, ila neema yake imetuweka hapa. Haikuwa rahisi, vile namna neema yako inafanya, hakuna elimu inaweza fanya. Hata kama ikishindana, hata kama ikipambana, neema yako itashinda. Hakuangalia elimu zetu, hakuangalia mionekano yetu, aliangalia mioyo yetu. Kwake tukapata kibali. Amefanya, Mungu amefanya, amefanya, Mungu amefanya. Haikuwa rahisi, rahisi. Amefanya, Mungu itakuwa hivyo. Mungu akulinde na akuhifadhi. Amen. Oh, na iwe hivyo. Akubariki mjini pia na shambani. Amen. Oh, na iwe hivyo. Akupe neema nyingi kwenye maisha haya. Mungu akupe uzao kama nyota za mbinguni. Amen. Na iwe hivyo. Usipungukiwe maji wala chakula nyumbani. Amen. Na iwe hivyo. Akubariki nyumbani pia na kazini. Amen. Na iwe. Amen. Hey. Amen. Amen. Oh, amen. Iwe hivyo. Amen. 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 Yep. Najua nabii wa kwanza ni wewe mwenyewe juu ya maisha yako, ila leo nataka niseme neno juu yako na itakuwa hivyo. Mungu abariki kazi za mikono yako. Oh. Kila ukanyagapo pata kuwapa kwako. Utakuwa wa kwanza na sio wa mwisho. Amen. Oh, yeah. Kwako hatokuwepo tasa wala mwenye kuharibu mimba. Amen. Na iwe hivyo. Wewe hutakufa bali utaishi. Usimulie matendo makuu ya Mungu. Bonde la mauti halitakuua wewe. Amen. Na iwe hivyo. Hakuna silaha itakuwa kinyume na wewe. Amen. Na iwe hivyo. Umande wa mbinguni ukustawishe wewe. Amen. Na iwe. Amen. Uinuke, uinuliwe, ustawi uwe juu. Amen. 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 Uongezeke. Iwe hivyo. Najua nabii wa kwanza ni wewe mwenyewe juu ya maisha yako, ila leo nataka niseme neno juu yako na itakuwa hivyo. Mungu akulinde.
wale wangambo wanajibu mnashindwaje.
Wale wangambo wanauliza mmevukaje.
Na ngambo inajibu mnashindwaje.
Mlicho nacho hatuna, tulicho nacho hamna. Oh, oh.
Basi tubadilishane, tunufaike sote.
Ulio nalo gumu kwako kwa mwingine rahisi.
Uonalo rahisi kwako kwa mwingine ni gumu.
Sababu kamwe mapito yanatofautiana. Tutiane moyo sote, safari ni moja. Sababu tunategemeana. Tuwa baba moja, wa baba moja sote. Nahitaji mwanga ujue,
tena hakuna mrefu pasipo na mfupi.
Ukiona daraja limejengeka ujue,
alionekana bonde kabla.
Ulionalo gumu kwako kwa mwingine rahisi.
Uonalo rahisi kwako kwa mwingine ni gumu.
Sababu kamwe mapito yanatofautiana. Tutiane moyo sote, safari ni moja. Sababu tunategemeana. Ndivyo Mungu alivyotuumba, tutegemeana. Huwezi kuwa kamili peke yako. Sababu Bwana, kweli Bwana, kweli Bwana, huwezi kuwa kamili peke yako. Umeumbwa kutegemeana, kweli kweli. Tegemeana, 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 tunategemeana.
Difficult, but not impossible.
Wema wako si kwa wakati wa furaha tu. Wema wako pia wakati hata wa machozi. Wema wako haupimiki kwa majira fulani tu. Wema wako ni kila wakati na kila nyakati. Hata sasa ni mema, tunapoimba ni mema, tunapolia ni mema, tunapocheka ni mema, tunapopanda ni mema, unapovuna ni mema. So wewe ni mwema, umwema, wewe ni mwema. Wewe ni mwema, umwema, wewe ni mwema, Mungu wa baraka. Wewe ni mwema, umwema, wewe ni mwema, wewe ni mwema.
Speaker has asked me just to say that he's a cyber enabler, but I know he's a very heavy machine in terms of cyber, because where I come from, we say, when you see where the water is still, know that it is very deep. And so he must be a very deep man. He's going to talk to us. He is the CEO of Cyber Pro. Bwana John Mutunga, without much ado, I want to welcome you onto this podium to come and share with us what you have for us. We shall appreciate him until he gets to where I am now. Yeah, let's continue appreciating him. Thank you very much, John. God bless you.
Good morning. Somebody help me. Call the students inside. My topic for speaking today is it's a little bit complicated, and it's about. I need to pick the topic from the. I'm representing the director of strategy and planning at the NC4. And I think offensive cyber operations is a tool of war. This message is generally for the students. I'm not leveraging on the government sector or the guys who might take it over to the defensive ministry and say that we talked about defensive solutions. How many of you were here during the Burundi-Rwanda war? How many? By show of hands. No one. Somalia war? Iraq, Iran? Oh, 2 guys only. You guys are so young. 14, 13 years ago? Okay. Now, I'm talking about offensive operations, and offensive cyber is a tool of war. Anybody who listened to yesterday's speak, the first day speech when Professor Leo Tabaski from the University of Tel Aviv, I asked him a question about offensive security. And for us to be in defensive, we have to be offensive. And that's where it's not acceptable to be offensive. You cannot take a machete and go out to your neighbor's house and start fighting them. But you can sit in your house with your machete and wait for your neighbor. If he attacks you, you attack him back. Most of these wars we are seeing in the world today are fought offensively and defensively. But in most cases, everybody says we are fighting defensively. Where does the cyber security come in? And where does cyber security become an offensive solution to defensive solution? For example, if you are following up the wars in the Middle East right now and the status of politics in the Middle East, you realize that there is a big problem with the culture of Middle East. Like every time there's a war popping up, it's in the Middle East. Every time there is something happening, there's I don't know what they call it, but it's like a crisis. It's in the Middle East, and one of the greatest problems we are facing right now in the Middle East is because of offensive war. Now, to win this war in the offensive, 50% of the war must be fought in social media, in Google, in deepfake, and in cyber. When I say in cyber, I mean you can easily shoot your drone and somebody shoots it down. You can easily write content on Twitter, X, and X tells you we are blocked, you cannot continue because what you posted is not good, and they take it off. That's a work of AI. That's a work of cyber. And where does academy come in this time? The first time I got passion for cybersecurity is when I decided to do something for it. And during, sometimes last year when they said some hackers from Sudan have hacked Kenya. And the first question I asked was, where do I get the right information about what happened to Kenya? I couldn't get it from Safaricom. I couldn't get it from the government. and I couldn't get it from the academia. And I asked myself, what should we do when something like this happens? I hope you will not arrest me after I get out of here. Most of the things we are supposed, most of the information and the correct, inaudited information is supposed to come from the students' fraternity. Because these guys don't care. They will hack your phone for free. I said that before. They will just shut down the network. They will track the password for the Wi-Fi for free. That's war. How does offensive attack become defensive? By building yourself with a positive data, ethically. By strengthening yourself ethically to have data which is profitable to both your ecosystem and your environment and yourself as a person. By making sure you know, I grew up in a place where they used to say, if you hit me, they hit you. I don't know who they were, but that's the kind of perception we need to have on cybersecurity. You need to be so strong such that if somebody tries to hack your friend, 10 people hack him down. And I'm not telling you guys to start hacking. I'm just telling you that's where the war starts. 90% of the Israel-Hamas war is being fought in the social media. For those who are following. 90% of the information in the media right now is gutter information. Nothing is real. Nothing is real. People are even taking bombs and blowing up trees, and they take that picture with the illustrator, put it back, and say, we just blew up a tanker. That's cyber. Where do we draw the line for the invisible war? Ethically. My prayer for you guys is, there's this biblical verse which is weapons of our warfare are not carnal, they are mighty through God, principalities and stuff like that. I'm living in the life of the principalities in spiritual wickedness in high places. I'm looking at cyber, at Daystar, growing up to the place of high places and being watched. And not high places whereby you have lifted it yourself. I'm looking at cyber being at the center of every DNA of a student in Daystar. And how? It takes one person to have passion for doing the right thing, using the right equipment, and growing the strength of that one thing to defend when you are under attack. For example, when I was in school, they used to say all the time, oh, one university, I will not mention the name because of data protection. You know, sometimes in our campus, they hack the system and just give everybody an A. And then the lecturers have to go back and mark the papers. Sometimes they will give a few guys an A, and then they make sure they are part of the guys who have hacked in, or a pass, or credit, or something like that. And I ask myself, who will rise up above this kind of war? The cyber warfare is often discussed, but rarely truly seen. The cyber information and intrusion of any private network, it's never said how it happens. Nobody wants to wake up and say, today we were hacked, and we know the guy who hacked us. Sometimes you'll be hacked and just people say money went away. I've asked many people have come back to us and told us, oh, today we lost 4 servers and the systems are down. How can you help us? Cyber is able to change status of a nation. Don't write that down. Cyber is able to change status of an election of a nation. I followed up a certain election in a certain nation in Africa, which I also don't want to say. And at one point we were told, I asked these guys, how are you able to change the status of these elections? He told me, we will change what the media says about the election. We will change Twitter. We will change Facebook. We will change the media papers, what they are writing on the papers. We will change that. I'll give you an example how much they asked for to change that. $1 million. I was in the discussion. I was seated in the table, high table, and this guy said, $1 million. And I asked him, how fast do you need the money? He told me 50% on starting, and the other 50% when you win the elections, presidential elections of our nation in Africa. Of course, not Kenya. Disclaimer. I want to tell you the status of our nation and the status of wars in this country are held by the status of cybersecurity knowledge upon our youth. Not the guys seated in front here. These guys who just implemented the policies. You are the guys determining the status of who is even winning the Students' Council. You are the guys starting. The first speaker who spoke here on Monday, on Wednesday, said, what if the students vote out the VC or something like that, and they elect one of their own to be the VC? Who would stop them? They are the majority. What if you guys decided to defend Kenya? What if you guys decided to defend Kenya airspace, cyberspace? What if you decided to defend Nairobi cyberspace? Somebody writes something bad on Twitter. Oh, I like Twitter. I'm the odd type. And you tear it down. No, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's not true. You didn't write it. Nobody did this. Please remove this online. Twitter will remove it. Or X will remove it. What I'm trying to push forward, and the burden on the shoulders of the student fraternity, the academicians, where the standards rest, is that the offensive cybersecurity responsibility, whether offensive or defensive, is the hands of the academician. Whether we are talking about the African war, whether we are talking about AI, whether we are talking about deepfake, whether we are talking about who wins, sometimes actually who wins, whether we are talking about who wins, whatever they win. The prediction for 2024, 2025 is that cyber war is not even, don't know where we are going, we don't know who is going to win, we don't know who is going to stand over the gap for us. Drones are being hacked. Even the AI can be hacked. True or false? Even the AI can be hacked. The last conference I attended in Tel Aviv University was talking about how it is now possible for you to build a model here and build another model to watch over this one. Why? Because if this one misbehaves, because he's picking information from every part of the world, this one will stop it, will switch it off. The same thing with AI. AI is collecting information which you students feed it up, which you lecturers feed it up. It's not picking information from unknown media. I totally one person who does not believe in losing. I totally believe that there is no way AI will annihilate or shame the human nature. Yes, in the last days, in the later days, the wisdom of men will increase, yes. But when do you think that AI will override you? Those who drive, your car can just override you and tell you, you are now experiencing this kind of temperature. So what if you switch it off? You are the guys to switch off AI or switch it on or make it sure it does what it wants, because you are the research strategy for the nation. You are the power of AI. And there's no time AI will override you, because 2,000 people will write the code. 2,000, 4,000 people will underwrite the code. Invisible war. Where is the solution? Ransomware, random remote access trojans, viruses. Where are we? In the Bible, which I like quoting as my escape route many times, a book in Nehemiah, they said, I look for a man who would stand in the gap and build the walls of Jerusalem. And I found none. Be the man who will be found. Be the lady who will be found. when it comes to invisible war, when it comes to cyber war. Rise up above every other person and say, I'm going to hack this down. Nobody can write this about our university and we just leave him, he just have fun. We are going to tear down the website. That's what it takes. I'm very close with the nation of Israel. Very, very close. Very, very close. The next meeting, I will sit down with Netanyahu. The next meeting. And I want to tell you guys, the only thing that's lifted the nation of Israel is individualism. One man will do what 10 people can do. Nobody tries to overtake another one. Whether in the street, whether on the road. Because for Israel, it takes one man to do it and do it right. And passion for the nation. The first time I sat down with an agent from NC4 Kenya, he told me, what drives me first is the love of my nation, national security. That was the first statement. My life changed when I thought about what that guy said. The first thing you should have is the love of yourself, love of your family, love of your academy, where you study, love of your lecturer, love your institution, love of your nation. And kill out the negative vibe. And that's when you start seeing things in the right way. Because cyber is war. And this war is fought invisibly. I remember when one of our directors went to Citizen this week and said, wherever you put something online, you can't even remove it even if you want. Why? Because there are people watching. And there are people copying. And another guy said, I have a Gmail account which belongs to Gmail himself. It's another guy's computer. Start fighting the war from your computer. And that's the only way you'll win the cybersecurity war. And start fighting hard. Let's hear hackers from Daystar, ethical hackers, of course. Let's hear the best student from Daystar earning scholarships on cybersecurity. As I stand here right now, I declare the best student on cyber in Daystar, I'll give him a free scholarship to Tel Aviv. This year or next year. Of course, I work with the administration to know who is the best student in cyber. But if you win it, whether you are male or female, you'll attend 2025 Cyber Week, which is a yearly event in Israel, which is for all the geeks on the world to sit down and talk about what is happening in the world in the cyber industry. Rise up above this, because you will be our saviors. We will not guess and we will not be infuriated or scared by AI, and we are the ones writing the code. AI does not pick data from another planet. Picks data from here. And that's why when you try to do simple things like ChatGPT, you write a letter, it asks you, is this okay? You tell him no, then he writes it again. That's where I realized it's not smart. When he asked me whether this is okay. So I'm the one vetting the capacity of the... I don't even know the reason why you should use AI to do an exam. Because it's not the right answer at the time of the final result is not they ask you whether this is the correct one. The only thing you can do is rise up, debug. I know that you can do better. Because you have the time, you have the brain, and you have the passion. And the passion is what we are lacking. And that's what we want to instill to you. As CyberPro, we are trying to build up vigilantes. It's a bad name, but I'll use it here. We are trying to build up vigilantes. In the same Bible, there are people who are selected to watch over the city of Israel, Jerusalem. They were selected in every clan, you bring like 15 people. You guys watch this side of Judea. These are the guys who watch Samaria. Another one group is watching on the other side. Others will be watching from Dadora. Some guys will be watching from Kisumu. Others will be watching from Daystar. Others will be watching from UON. This is the kind of people we want to raise up. So if we here right now, a certain bank has been hacked, I just need to call my guy at Daystar. Hey, who hacked this bank? I don't want to say any bank. They will come after me. Who hacked this bank? You tell me it's this guy from Moscow. He's trying to access client data. Who hacked this supermarket? This guy from Japan who is trying to do it. You know who it is because you are better than them. Your minds are not corrupted. You have not had industrial revolution in your luck in your. You have not smoked so much dust from the street. You are more fresher than them. Why should they overtake you? Reports that Africa is not doing well on cybersecurity. You might find that guys running this data on cybersecurity. They are running it from Africa. Or they are black guys in the US writing the code. Because they are the guys who do the simple jobs. You rise up above them. Fight the invisible war and win. Run the race to win in cyber. Thank you. I should go home with this.
Thank you. Let's appreciate my friend Mutunga once again. You have given me a lot of hope, my friend. Yeah, because if you are the ones who are feeding that thing, the AI, whatever, how can it overtake us? How? Thank you very much. Once again, please, another round of applause for my friend. I think we will interact more during the plenary, and at this point, I just want to invite the Dean. I don't see Dr. Kimathi here, because we need to appreciate the two gentlemen who have been able, or you can, Dr. Monica, you can come and help. Just bring those two gifts, whatever that we need to appreciate the two. Okay, so let's do it after the plenary. I'm well advised. Daktari Opio, come so that you can invite the rest of the plenary team members for the next session. And we can also appreciate Dr. Monica Opio as she comes. She'll be bringing in the rest of the members. Thank you.
Good morning. It's still morning. Good morning. So I'm so excited. I don't know if you guys are excited the way I am. I've realized it's multidisciplinary. We are all needed. We are all expected to do something. And I hope that the speech has not been empty for us. For me, it's fully loaded, especially this last speech, that we need to be nationalists. We need to love our country and what we are doing. So in the next session, we want to talk about digital identity crisis management. And we want to go as basic as possible and build up on it. So I'll ask the panelists to please come up. Tafadhali, the panelists we had communicated to, so that we can begin. So we want to go very, very basic. For us scientists, digital means your fingers and things like that. But we want to hear what this is all about, because digital identity touches on everybody. We all have national IDs. We all have insurance cards. So we want to hear from the experts what this is all about. So my name, as you've been told, is Dr. Monica Opio. I teach in School of Science, Engineering and Health, specifically biomedical science. And this is an area of interest because we also deal with things like biometrics in the course. So I'm happy to have them here with us. Okay, so I'm going to ask the panelists to each of them introduce themselves and tell us their areas of specialty before we begin. So we'll start with Dr. Okemwa. Sorry, I've said your name, but it's okay, go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Josh Okemwa, a lecturer in the Department of Computer Science. I specialize in artificial intelligence, issues to do with cybersecurity and Internet of Things.
Pass. My name is John Mutunga. I'm the CEO of CyberPro, and I specialize in cybersecurity, building academies for cyber and cyber research across Africa.
My name is Steve Karaoke. I work for a Dutch company, ProfitUp HQ in the Netherlands. I am a key account manager and a network protocol analyst. My daily work revolves around working with companies globally on development of cybersecurity solutions on the IT infrastructure. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Rajesh, and I'm the head of cyber division in Prime Bank. And I'm carrying 19 years of experience in this same cyber field. Prior to this assignment, I was with IBM and managed various financial accounts across the globe, and part of the cyber investigation roadmap, strategic roadmap, all those things. So right now I'm here, and I'm just thankful to all of the audience, especially CyberPro. By that, I'm just getting connected with all of the students, all of my peers, colleagues. Thank you, CyberPro, for giving us the opportunity and the way CyberPro, because this is the second seminar I'm attending, and I can see the way CyberPro has taken a lead for cyber awareness or student engagement, and the way they are engaging students. I'm pretty much happy to see all those things. And very soon we can see some good results on that. Students are just starting their journey on the cyber roadmap, and they will achieve their milestones very soon. Thank you. Bye.
So maybe before we start, let's give them a round of applause as a way of welcoming them. So we say that this conference is multidisciplinary, and we have a lot of majors here. So we have people who are not only with computer science bias, and as the CEO of CyberPro had said that we want everybody involved. So I want us to go to the basics so that nobody is past. What is digital identity, Dr. Kemwa?
Yeah, so matters to do with digital identity. In this case here, we're looking at systems, and basically computers. And each of these systems are always connected in a network. And when we connect these systems in a network so that we can have communication, each of these systems needs to be identified. So you need to identify this system uniquely so that there can be a communication and sharing of message. Then we have users. Users who are accessing these systems need to be identified. You identify users using the username, email IDs, and other things for authentication purposes. So each user who is using this system can be identified uniquely. This is what we are looking at, digital identification, digital identity. Yes.
Thank you very much. That was very clear. Then I would want to ask Mr. Rajesh, what are some of these digital identity crisis issues? For example, in Kenya, now that you've worked in the bank, what are some of these issues that you've experienced?
Oh, very good point. Especially I'll encourage all the students who are in a journey of cyber. So once you are reaching, I'm just giving an example first, and then I'll come to why I'm just giving. Digital identity, in another way, you can say that you are going to safeguard a brand reputation of an organization, irrespective of financial sector. Sector means financial sector, or maybe healthcare sector, any sector. So you are just putting a safeguard to the brand reputation, which is most important for any organization. Like the way Mr. John, a colleague, has confirmed just a few minutes back, how digital identity or maybe AI is supporting during the election. I'm just giving you an example. Many people here, they're using Facebook or LinkedIn, right? So sometime I'm just giving you an example. So you came to know the CEO or maybe MD of a organization. It is a real-time case. I'm just hiding the names, but I'm giving you a real-time case. So the MD of an organization is having an Facebook account, okay? So what hackers did, they can take the snaps from that account. So you have created the look-alike account on the same page, right? Say for it is Rajesh or maybe it is Steve. So you can create an account, but you have used, for authentication, you have used a different mobile number. And you have kept rest everything because it is Steve and put a hyphen on that. Account got created. Now, from that account, if I am asking you for a friend request, I am spreading a friend request. Will you accept? Yes. So, that is the fraud. How to identify digital, how you will know digitally if this person who is sending me a request is a genuine one. Their digital identity comes. Okay? And for him, there is a solution. Okay? If anyone, that is why brand protection comes into picture. So anyone in social media can use the name or snap or maybe your logo. That is why we have our own logo protection, or maybe our brand name reputation protection. So by the time someone use, you will get an alert that someone has used similar to your name and used and spread across the social media. So then there is another column. You can see the activities, what all activities that person is doing. And basis on that, you can raise a takedown. You can raise it to, the organization can claim to the social media, okay, this is us and someone is just doing a unnecessary activity. And you know, very recent we have investigated one case and it is still with DCI. So someone has used the MD's name and spread a connection access, spread a request, friend request. And people, by knowing that, oh, it is friend request from this gentleman, he's the MD of this big organization, let us accept. And then after he has asked for money, some ransom.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, so that way, digital identity is topmost requirement. Another aspect of this is by using AI, they can use Mr. Steve's similar picture and a speech. If he is from some party, some political party, by using the mimicry and using his own face, AI is that much developed. Now you can create a speech. And now you can see you can create an impact on election as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. So my next question is to Mr. Steve. We are looking at digital identity crisis management in general, globally, and also looking at it, comparing the West and Africa in general. What do you think? How far have we gone in terms of management of the crisis?
I really want to answer that question by first giving this small description. And you allow me to look at two systems, as my colleague mentioned on the other side.
Yes,
you have a client or you have a machine that wants to be authenticated by a Windows or a Linux server. So how that particular process takes place depends with whether the system is a local-based system or it is a web-based system. In the West, here in Africa, we have both systems. So it simply cuts across board. When you have local-based systems, users have to enter usernames, they have to enter passwords. Those usernames and those passwords, they go to a domain controller. A domain controller looks at what it has actually been provided in terms of what we refer to as pre-authenticated hashes. From that particular point, the domain controllers send back a message to the clients, and then from there, the clients can actually be given resources to the databases. The reasons why I've mentioned that is because that is exactly what happens across the world. The only problem will be somebody in Europe, somebody in US, will be using a better way of authentication that we call Kerberos, which is an extended way of that small process that I have described. But we in Africa, what we have done, from immemorial, the moment we were actually, or when the developer came and installed a particular application, the authentication process was developed in 1990. We still continue to use it in 2024. So the hacker who will actually go to hack in Europe will find it extremely difficult to get to the database. But come to Africa, that is a totally different story. Similarly, when it comes to the issue of web-based systems, somebody hacking actually somewhere in the UAE, the US, Europe, will find it difficult to get that particular point. But when we actually come here, we have a problem. And allow me just to mention this. And there is a problem that they have experienced. You go to Circle A. Unless what is happening to Circle A, unless this particular solution has actually been implemented in Circle A, it cannot be implemented in Circle B. So we carry all those problems to all the circles that we have. Unless we have a situation whereby we will call 3-4 developers and we tell them, showcase us your application, tell us the security features, demonstrate to us, then we can actually adopt an application or a system based on what we can actually see and not based on what other people most probably are doing. So for us to be in a position to manage the issue of identity management, especially when it comes to user authentication and so on, we just have to go with how technology is changing and adopt to the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we go to Mr. John. I would want to ask, you spoke during your previous speech, you spoke to us passionately about the youth. When you were talking about that, I was thinking social media is mainly used by the youth. I would tell you that probably, I know there's Instagram, but I don't use it. I don't think the older generation are really bothered about TikTok, Instagram, and things like that. So do you think that the fact that youth use a lot of the social media platforms, does it make the problem of digital identity crisis worse? Does it make us more vulnerable?
Thank you for the question. I'm looking at, you say 2 questions. Does use of social media bring crisis on digital identity and the problem with the youth? My best question, because I'm moving to the side of the youth aligned, is the more followers you have, the more followers you have, the bottom line is money. The more followers you are building your digital identity, you are building your reputation, you are building who you are. You better build it. Why? Because you are in this world at a time as this. Some of the things the youth go out of the way to do so that they can get followers, of course they are unorthodox and are not acceptable. But to protect your digital identity, which is very important, which is so necessary in the current world. Every time I hire somebody for a job, I first ask them for their Facebook page, right where we are seated, and I ask them for their Twitter account, and of course, TikTok. The youth is even smarter. They tell, I don't have a TikTok. And then give me Instagram. The Instagram is connected to Facebook. And I check who they are. I'm bringing to the fold. And most of you don't deserve even to be in the fold. Because you, who you are right now, a master's guy with brains like you can fly an aircraft, ethically, 0. My look at But look at the world we are living into and where we are scoping ourselves to be. I usually use a very simple example of a football match. Why would Wenger wear a suit when he's going to the football field and people are just kicking the ball? Why? Anybody knows why? Because your first digital identity is what I see in you, not what you see in yourself. You can be a heaven and earth preacher, but if your identity in the public is wrong, you are wrong. For me, I assign all of them together, and I know I've seen so many times you call people for speaking, and I still have one problem with one guy yesterday who spoke in this platform, and we'll discuss about it. You could have very nice brains and very strong person, and I am not commenting about Daystar, your address is very good, but look at somebody saying, I'm the head of IT in this place, and why do you have to be dreaded? Is that your digital identity? I've gone to places to ask for a visa to go to a country. The first thing they look at you, is that your ID? They look at you like this, they look the ID, their passport, and they look at you, and look again the passport, and they look at you. And they are trying to connect you and the ID you have. The world looks like that, and it's loopy on that. Who is going to authorize you between this guy and the guy who is looking at, and yourself? Are you authorizing your digital identity? Does your code match with the code you are presenting to the public? And that's where we are challenged. That's where the line is drawn. You could be the best hacker, but if you are dreaded, it's very difficult for people to just look at you and say, we are not safe with this guy here. Because I have lived with cats and dogs. And I know you can get in the house like this and the dog will look at you and walk out. The same thing with the digital identity. It's something you need to protect with your soul. And make sure that when people look at you, what they see is what they get. When you say, I'm a computer science student at Daystar, people look at you and say, yes, you are a computer science student at Daystar. And now look at you and say, I think you are a pastor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll just to comment on what he has said. There was I saw somewhere some time back, a lady who was fired in the UK because of a bad comment she made on social media, and apparently she didn't know that the company has a dedicated group that just looks at employees' social media to see their character. So your image and character is very important. I think in a nutshell, that is what Mr. Mtunga is telling us, that your image and your character is very, very important. Now I want to throw a question to all the panelists in no specific order. What are the factors that you think influence digital identity crisis, especially in Africa? We want to look at Africa today.
So, across Africa, if I could say, national level enhancement is required on digital identity. Like in other countries, few countries I know, so over there is a digital landmark. Means digitally it will identify the person, this person is genuine. So for that, there are few debates are going on, and Kenya government also, they are also planning something because it was approached by Data Commissioner of Kenya. So they are also trying to develop something, it is called digital identity. How your digital identity will access. Say I'm just giving you an example. It is your phone, the phone number, then your card, means it is your national identity card, along with some digital access. So three-way, it will be like a three-way authentication. So people might have gone through the health card. Sometimes it is having two layer of authentication. So if you are going to a hospital or somewhere, so over there you are just presenting your card. Yes, I am the person. And that point of time they are getting your biometric access. They are asking you to put your biometric access. So it is two layer of authentication. But very soon we'll see something. It is in the evolving technology. The three-way of authentication can be enhanced across Africa. And I think that is the way we can protect ourselves and protect the respective government. And government should ensure that the respective citizens are in a extra layer of defense. They'll secure the defense part.
Yeah, I just wanted to add this. Like, for instance, if you look at it from an African perspective, every year we churn out students. Doesn't matter the discipline. These students, they try to get a source of livelihood somewhere, becomes a little bit difficult. They have access to gadgets. They have access to the internet. They need to make a living. So at some point, some of them, even us as grown-ups, some of us, we find ourselves actually getting in situations whereby I will pick his image, I will start blackmailing, and so on and so forth. However, even the masses themselves, they have not taken upon themselves to differentiate what is actually fake, what is actually true. The moment I just see a post, something bad maybe about John here, I repost. I don't have to think about, I just want that, euphemism. I want to create some sort of follow-up. I want to create some sort of, likes and so forth. So at the end of the day, we have that kind of, a lacuna whereby we cannot differentiate what is right or wrong. To this end, if you think about, for instance, our government, we had an issue with the Huduma number. We had the first phase. Data was collected. It is stopped. People died, people are born. So what happened actually to that particular data? Where is it even as we speak anyway? Don't you think that somebody will simply go and get access to that particular data and add to the crisis issues that we already have? Those are some of the problems that we actually have, whereby we have projects that have been started. There's no line of sight at the end of the day. We create problems over problems. I think we need to have clear guidelines, and implementation has to be done fully. And if at all maybe it is not done fully, then somebody has to be responsible for all the crises that we actually have.
To add on what the other panelists have said, I look at basically two issues. One is training and capacity building. Sometimes, and awareness, all of them come under the same point. You find that most of the time, what people are doing over the internet, and which is contributing to the issues to do with privacy, challenges and all that, it's because they don't know what they're doing. For example, one of the panelists has said that once you finish school, you'll try to look for a living. So you'll be doing something over the internet so that you can make a living. But if you are aware on the consequence of what you are doing, which is probably maybe falsely, you are trying to use the identity of another person, all that, if you know the effect of what you are doing, maybe most of the youths will not engage to that. But because they are not aware of the impact of what their actions will lead them to, you find themselves into that kind of behavior. The other thing is to do with capacity building. People should be taught so that they can go out and spread the message. You find that even these shows which are available on the TV, where people share the message, insight about some of the issues to do with this digital identity and all that. People who are teaching are not so many in most of the African setup. You find that there are only few people who have knowledge about this. So this is important. And lastly is about policy and regulation. So you find that before, some years back, like five years back, some people used to do some of the misuse. They used to misuse their computers, some of the cyber bullies and all that. Used to happen in this country. And there was nobody who was able to be taken to court and taken through the court process, and finally a case is determined against that person. It was not possible because there was not really a law that could take this person and pin him to a mistake. It was not there. But after the 2018 Act, which came in, at least now as it's being implemented, you find that it's easier. Most of people who are committing these crimes nowadays, they can easily be taken to court and be taken through the court process, and they can be pinned into some kind of mistake that they have done against the regulation that is in place. So these are some of the things that we need to look at in the African setup, and if we continue having these kind of conversations, creating this kind of awareness, possibly in future we are going to be there.
I would request the panel to ask the question again. I've been listening to what these guys are saying. That's why I want to answer relevantly.
Factors that influence digital crisis, identity crisis in Africa.
I didn't want to miss it. One of the factors influencing identity crisis in Africa is deception, disinformation, destructive data, and the social media. And that's where the devil sits. So I wouldn't say that we need to re-educate people on that, but we need to reface and watch on ourselves individually. On the same aspect of WWJD, on the same aspect. Oh, what would you do when no one is watching? I've seen a lot of pictures of people I know. They don't look like that in the social media. I've read stories about things which happen in Africa, and they don't look like that in the real world. There are times when we need to accept the lie so that we don't fight with the truth, but not on digital data. Because like my colleague said, it doesn't get lost. I think that would be my answer.
I want to come back to you again because you're very passionate about the youth and about training and capacity building. In public health, where I'm mostly biased towards, when we are tackling an issue, like for example, an infectious disease there's an outbreak, we go to the basics. So you tell people, do hand washing, use masks and things like that. So we go to the basics so that we teach people about prevention. And you had spoken about Israel when our previous speaker had spoken about being offensive, knowing the vulnerabilities and dealing with them. What do you think about doing public awareness and just kind of reducing, like for example, when you're going to speak to people about a disease, you try and bring it to the local language and to people's level. Do you think that would be an interesting area or something that could work? Because the way we've been talking about cybersecurity and digital identity crisis management, it seems like something that every single person needs to work on. How you handle your personal data, how you expose yourself, because it also has to do with your behaviors on social media. Telling people that I'm going for 15 days, this is my baby, this is my husband. You're posting everything, including your house. And now that TikTok is also paying people, your ATM and all those things, your account details are there. Do you think that people should be actually taught, not only at university level, but at other levels, that people are also vulnerable?
I would say yes, but that question could be been answered by our chairman, Mr. Noemuna, who is seated here, but I think he's hungry, so I'll just answer it myself. I will take a scope of what happens in the country of Israel. Nyumba kumi in the public health and public information dissemination and even distribution of public information. Everybody in Israel belongs to nyumba kumi. I hope, Mr. No, you understand what that means. Everybody is in a group of around 10, 20 people who join our group and become like like a chama. And so if information is being distributed, they have maybe a social group, they have elite estates, elite neighborhoods, smart homes. If electricity goes off in one area, you just get a text message saying electricity has gone off. So and everybody will just know, don't go home to work from home because there's no power. And that is the adaptation which I've also tried to bring it to Kenya. I've tried to negotiate systems with some businessmen in Israel on how we can do smart cities. I think the only way to conquer public is to build small publics within the great publics. And then information, and you've seen that in the times of Corona, that people were being segregated based on those who are very sick, those who have been infected, those who are almost getting infected, and those who are safe. The same thing, it's happening across the world. We need now to start building our homesteads in areas of how many people are living in this area and how we can segregate them. For information to be disseminated faster. For us to grow up and even be responsible to each other without becoming entangled with each other, we must build groups of people, and groups which are not only for social discussions, but also even for that public health, and even for academics. And the education sector is doing that, because I know at times you are given discussion groups. Why don't we make the discussion groups eternal? My best friends are the guys who are in campus together. When we meet, we lay down everything. We share everything. We take off our shirts and discuss stuff. Where you are winning and where you are losing. There are guys who would call me, send me 100K. I wouldn't ask him for what. Because we build bondships which are unbreakable. For government to demystify issues of discussion, issues of public-private participation, there must be in smaller manageable groups. And then you elect a leader, and then that leader disseminates the information. Or even be in social media, just the Nyumba Kumi thing. That thing can work wonders. I don't know why we struggle with I don't like my neighbor. You don't have to like him, just stay in the same group and don't comment on his issues. For me, that's my perception to public health and all issues of public health. And it is working in Israel. I was once asked, like, if you got sick here, where will you go? Because I'm not in the Nyumba Kumi of Israel. I would not be treated. You can't just walk into a clinic and get ejected and get out. No. You have to go through many facets of life to get to that. The same thing which we can work here. The same thing which the academies are using the same policies to disseminate information. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So just in closing, one question to Mr. Steve. What is the place of AI in digital identity crisis?
It is here to stay. However, we have to create a platform whereby nowadays we are calling them prompt engineers to move ahead and give the AIs more than what it is able to handle today. Because what will actually happen tomorrow, even that AI doesn't understand. But humans do, and they can actually feed that particular system.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you we want to thank the panelists. That's been very engaging and insightful. And we'd want to take the online questions. I don't know if we have any, if they can be projected. Do we have any online questions? Okay, if we don't have any online questions, as we're looking into it, we'll ask maybe one or two from the auditorium as we sort that out for. Okay, there's one hand.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presenters of today, and we appreciate a lot your good work. Anne, I'm a communicator doing my PhD at development communication, and it is interesting to learn so much about cyber issues, cyber crime, and so on and so forth. And as a communicator, I'm really finding it a big challenge as well as an opportunity for journalists in terms of where we are going. These days we have even robot cameras and so on and so forth. So photographers and videographers have a big challenge in the future. And I'm asking a question in terms of the area of journalism. If there is, you think there is a possibility in the future to have media houses where they are run by robots, and then how accountable are they going to be in terms of what is happening, the information that is being shared, and so on and so forth. That's one area. And I'm also asking about AI, and I'm just thinking about AI really as AI, as artificial intelligence. Is it really artificial or it is really natural? Because at the end of the day, it's just because it has been sent to the machines that it becomes an AI, but I think it is really natural. It's not really artificial per se. As a communicator, that's my thought. Thank you.
So any of the panelists can respond?
I want to encourage my sister, especially in the issue of media and communication. For those who started off with the Citizen long time ago, you knew information we go to Meru, we record information, then we send it to Nairobi I'm that odd. Then we send it to Nairobi, and then they would air it on the air, and they would say, oh, are you going to present my information, my news? Yes, you wait for it tomorrow evening. It will be on the media at 7 o'clock news, it will be there. Then Citizen would air the information or the data which was presented from Meru. Now, for where we are right now as a media guys, you have to be involved with what is happening in the world right now. Not directly like gather information. You must learn. Go back to school. Get involved with the learning of how to transmit information and how to make information relevant. Because you just need to say one thing and tomorrow you are arrested for breaking rules. Tomorrow you will be arrested for data breach. And it says it's like that, and they fine you 200 million, which you can't get. So you go to jail. So for the best thing right now for the media people, and we are doing classes, we soon start classes, master's class in data production, master's class in legal fraternity, master's class for doctors, in cybersecurity and in cyber knowledge. We are doing those classes very soon. And you just need to keep a finger on our information, and soon you'll get, we are doing things which people have refused to do them, especially as CyberPro. We are bringing the guy from media back to campus. We tell him now, tell us how to keep this thing ahead of everyone. We don't want to think. We want them to think for us. We are bringing the government and telling them, what do you want the students, what do you want the learner to do so that they don't cross your line and tomorrow we would have crisis. And the only way we can do that is for you who is interested in knowing to stay safe and walk freely in the street. You must go back to school. It's not negotiable. Whether it is you are learning online, whether you are learning from Google. I'll give an example of somebody who asked this question in the World Economic Forum. He asked that, you guys from Israel have so much knowledge on agriculture. Where do you learn these things from? And Abraham just said, from Google. We learned from a farmer in Turkana, in a country called Kenya. People who are from Kenya almost cried. You're asking about strategy to develop a non-corrosive approach to media, and you're in Kenya, and there is Google. Just Google. The information is all there in YouTube on what to do, and even how to deliver it without crossing someone's line. Everything we are saying here, everything we are fighting on here, the information is available out there in the cyberspace. All of it. The answers are there. But sometimes you'll need to go back to college. The problem will be for the lecturers, the problem will be for the people delivering the content, the problem will be for you running up with the times we are in right now. Because the Bible, the same book says, for those who will know their God, will be strong and do exploits. I'm not going on the second phase, I'm going on the first phase. For those who will know, in Asia Apple.
Thank you very much. The next question is, sorry, phone has just. 98776? Okay, thank you. The next question is for Mr. Steve. It's an anonymous. They're asking what is ProfitUp's warranty policy and warranty information?
So at ProfitUp, we tend to manufacture and distribute quite a number of devices. So for each of all the devices that we have, they come with their own different warranty and different warranty for different periods. So maybe what you can actually do is just send us a request on our website, and for a particular device, we'll be able to provide him with a warranty, what we refer to as the MTBF, that is the mean time before failure. That is the number of hours, for instance, a device can actually operate before it fails, and other useful information in regard to that particular device. Similarly, also, that device will also come with a certification from different certification bodies around the globe.
Thank you. Then the next question is from Dr. Jeffa Oburu, and he's asking, how can Kenya integrate multi-factor authentication with biometrics to enhance digital identity security while maintaining user privacy and convenience? So I will allow any of the panelists who feels comfortable.
Okay, still because it's also on a technical environment, let me just answer it. By the way, the application that is actually requesting for multi-factor authentication will be primarily responsible on the design behind it. You'll find that there are some applications that are actually hard-coded with an MFA. Let's say just send a request, then the MFA is 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is hard-coded on the code, then it is bound to fail at some point, because it means that those numbers are static. But if it changes every other time that I have a new request, that means that there's a script running behind on those particular numbers. It will be far much better. Again, whether it is running in Africa or in Europe, it is one and the same. The determining factor, it is the developer. And that is why DevSecOps are extremely important in any application development.
Okay, thank you very much. You want to say something?
Okay, I can add one more point here. Nowadays, multi-factor authentication has been enabled for all social media accounts as well. Can I know how many of you enabled multi-factor authentication on your social media account? From the audience.
Yes, one of us. Just stand and answer.
Those who have not enabled those multi-factor authentication, please enable it. It is for your safety. Please enable it. And put a restrictions to your account access. Only your non-friends can access to your account, not other than that. Enable those features.
Okay. Thank you. The next question is also anonymous, and then we'll take one more and we'll call it a day. What bodies regulate the cybercrime issues, and what are the penalties? There's a growing number of hackers, meaning the bodies aren't doing enough to curb this.
In Kenya, we have a NC4, which has just launched the National Cybersecurity Policy, which I think it's 2024. There's another one coming up, and that's a leakage. If you saw what the NC4 chairman director said, 2024, 2029. It's remaining something very small for it to be adopted by the government. Now, for the issue of penalties between you and the courts, it has nothing to do with the public domain, but it can be as much as the courts decide on you, defend you or not much on defend yourself. But there is a user policy, not user policy, there is the standard policy for data protection, and if you leak, what will happen. Now, for me, I wanted to comment on the previous question on access and multi-factor authentications. I felt that the person who was said that how can they have the access of your data and then also maintain maintain privacy. There are two options. Every time you sign up for somebody to take your data, there's a small font which you need to tick, a small checkbox which you need to tick. Sometimes you tick and you don't read it. You just tick because it says so. Every time you tick, mostly, it just says you are at your own risk. All of them, they say that. They never say that we'll be responsible for your data, and if anything happens, we'll pay you this much. It always says you are responsible for your data, we are just using it the way they want, and if anything happens, you'll pay for yourself. And it only pops up when anything happens wrong. I would request people don't read always, because you don't read. But I understand we are at a level whereby the government is going to put access controls across the republic to sign up all the employees of the government, and maybe the private sector will also follow suit soon before this year is over, which is also classified. But I sometimes feel like whenever we lose out our data, whenever we give out our data, the user is the one who is responsible for it. And there's nothing we can do about it. Totally nothing. Because your information is already there in the public domain. How you control it is your problem now. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take the last question, and then the rest of the guys. Unfortunately, we will not be able to do all of them now because of time. And again, this is from Dr. Oburu asking, how can blockchain technology be leveraged to improve the security and integrity of digital identity management systems in Kenya? Again, I will allow us, the panelists.
They're allowing me to speak on that one. First, I will start by just adding something on what she asked about artificial intelligence. I think the last part of the question was asking about how artificial is artificial intelligence, something of that nature. And I think it's all artificial because what we're doing there is just a replica of what happens with the human mind. So if you're talking of how the human thinks, you have neural networks, and that is algorithms that are based on the design of the human brain. So because it's not the human brain, but it's a replica, then it's artificial. Now, coming to the issue to do with blockchain, I think that one, I'll just say that it's part of advancement or technologies which are coming up. And those technologies, in one way or the other, they play part in ensuring that security security efficiency is increased in one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, I would want us to just appreciate the team. They've done well. They've answered a lot of our questions, and we are very thankful to have them with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica Opio, together the entire team of panelists. We really appreciate you. That was so good. We want to give them another round of applause, please. Thank you. Yeah, now we have another session just before you go for your lunch. We are going to break out into our various sessions, the breakout rooms. We have the DSC auditorium, we have the mezzanine room, and we have DSC 102. DSC 102, you will follow my friend Mr. Edwin Ragira, because he's the one going to facilitate that. The mezzanine, we have Chris. I haven't seen Chris or UH. Are you anywhere, Chris? We will. Oh, he's already there. And then the DSC, which is here, we have Deborah Masara, Jacqueline Budia, Shane Rahim, and Moses Mulandi. But because after that, you will go for lunch before you come back here, I would therefore make a prayer. But just in case you exceed your time, because we want to be there for 30 or so minutes. What time is it now, Joshua? 12:40. You went up to 12:40. Okay. So we will be there up to around 1:20, 1:15. 1:15, that's when we end, go for lunch, and then we'll come back here. And so just because of that, I would want to make a prayer. Please make sure that you find yourself in one of these areas. If you do not know where any one of those rooms are, then you can consult with any one of us. But 1 or 2 is just up here, and mezzanine is on this side. And then this is the DSC. So you will choose one of them, and you will be able to be there. Sister, come, and you would be able to make a prayer. I don't know that you are the artificial or the real one, but you will make a prayer that after this we will be able to proceed for lunch.
Thank you so much. I believe that I'm not artificial, but thank you for the opportunity. Let's pray. Almighty Father, we thank you and we worship you. We acknowledge your goodness upon us since morning up to this moment and time. We pray that you may bless us and you bless the activities that are awaiting us, and more so bless the meals that are set before us and after us, that as we share, Lord, we may find the strength to serve you. Through Christ our Lord, we pray. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So you're free to go. And just in case you exceed that time, you'll hear a bell ringing outside. And please obey. Thank you.